Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Director Watch, an AwardsWatch podcast that attempts to get inside the mind of cinema's greatest auteurs, explore what drives them, and maybe we go on a few unrelated tangents along the way. I'm Ryan McQuade, the executive editor here at AwardsWatch, and joining me, as always, is my siren song, my co-host, Jay Ledbetter.
Menelaus, 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 Rugby Menelaus. Odyssey, it's here. Movie of the year? Is that? I mean, it's the most hyped movie of the year. And Menelaus is obviously the star of the Odyssey. So I wanted to knock that out of the way first. We can just talk Bernthal to start. I mean, I think that's where we should probably begin the conversation.
You want to just start with John Bernthal? Of all the people to start in this movie.
That's generally, I'm wearing a backwards hat. We are of a kin. Me and Bernthal.
Let me tell you something. That would be the most random way to start this podcast. But it would make sense because that's exactly what this podcast is.
Yeah.
We're talking the Odyssey. We're here. We're at the end of our long journey.
Bro. Heard about your dad, bro.
The Christopher Nolan movie series. And Jay, this will be a fun one today.
It will be.
It's going to be a fun one. We are not alone in this journey to talk about this Odyssey for Christopher Nolan. Joining us is two returning champions to the show. We thought we'd have more, but we lost them along the way on this journey. But we have these two that have remained with us. And that, of course,
they've got to come on for the movie of the year every year. One Battle last year. Odyssey this year. This is
one of them came on for the Oppenheimer show the year before. The other one talked about it as their favorite film of the year. And that is Sophia Ciminello, our associate editor.
Hi, guys. I was so kind to let you keep your human disguises today.
I didn't want to make a Cersei joke up at the top, but
I made it for you.
But there you go. And then, of course, he hasn't been on this entire series. It's kind of crazy that he wasn't. It's our editor-in-chief, Erik Anderson.
I'm really looking forward to talking about Cyclospora today. My absolute favorite character.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. We're here to talk about the Odyssey. Last week, if everybody's listened to it, they heard Sophia's takes on and our takes on Oppenheimer. A real chill episode, no tangents whatsoever.
No, it actually was though. It was
really good.
Yeah, it was actually
the first episode that Sophia was like, "That was worth my time." that was worth that amount of time.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm like the Agamemnon of the group. I'm like, can I go home?
Oh, just like this sort of like dark presence that's just walking around, having just everyone else do their stuff, and then you take it off. You're like, oh, that is Benny Safdie when he takes off the helmet. Erik, we've heard from everyone here, but I want to hear from you about Christopher Nolan because I think I know your answer to this. But what's your relationship with Nolan? Because everybody else, all of our listeners, they listen to this series. They know what Jay and I think. They know what Sophia thinks as of last week. What's your relationship with Nolan as a filmmaker? What do you like about him? What do you don't like?
Well, I mean, the NDA really just limits what I can talk about with our relationship. So I'll
because it's hyperly sexual or something.
I'll do the best that I can.
Okay.
Emma knows. She knows what's up.
Yeah, she knows what's up.
I mostly like Nolan. I love a lot of his work. And very old school from The Following and Memento. I still think Memento's his best film.
That's when he peaked.
And it's always hard to say that with an actor or a director who's had now a quarter century career. When you say that your favorite thing that they've done is 25 years old, that can sound worse than I think intended, because I don't mean to say that he's not a great filmmaker by saying that Memento is my favorite of his films. That was really when because I saw that before I saw The Following, actually. And that it was just so cool and new and fresh, but also was like my favorite kind of noir. And I don't know, I just was so into him. And, now he is everything he does is like a new magnum opus. So I think there's an interesting and maybe unfortunate thing attached to him as a filmmaker to one up himself. But I do really like most everything that he's done.
Well, that's good. What did you think of his last film?
It was good. It was
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
So you and I have talked about you liking Nolan at a more smaller scale.
hmm With
And
Prestige, stuff like that.
Dunkirk, even?
I really like Dunkirk.
Yeah. And then when he gets bigger is when I think you have a little bit more of issues with it.
It's not that I don't like it. It's really not that. It is really interesting. I think obviously we'll be talking about it going from Oppenheimer to this. He has such a like trademark style now
Yeah.
that I wasn't quite sure if he was going to put that into the Odyssey, but immediately right off the bat, it was like, oh, this is he's in the same bag. Again, not a derogatory.
No, I think we've kind of figured this out or kind of explored this and learned this over the series, Jay, of that right around Dunkirk, which is the era in which Jay started falling back in love with him. He got his visual style with Hoyte van Hoytema figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Tenet, he got his editing style really the way he wanted figured out with Jennifer Lamb. And now this last three films, he has had his crew with him the entire way through. And that is when a lot of people think as he is at the height of his powers from Dunkirk to now is when he is at his maximal level of technical achievement and also just audience engagement, even more so than something like The Dark Knight or Inception. And as much as like people love Interstellar, it really has seemed like, to Eric's point, he has found a rhythm here in the last couple of films, and it's all led to this. So, with all that being said, Jay, you were absolutely right. This is being hyped as the film of the year. It's the reason why we did this
That
series.
hype has not slowed down now that
it has not slowed down. Some people have seen this 3, 4, 5. I saw someone that's already seen it 8 times, which is wild.
That person should be institutionalized.
Sounds like me with one battle after another.
That's well, we're not saying Sophia should be institutionalized for that. But,
Well, maybe.
well, was it 8 times? Was it 8 times over a weekend? Though the first weekend?
No, I'm exaggerating. I think it was like 4.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 over like the course of like its opening time frame. Sophia, I want to start with you.
Okay.
And I want to ask you about your level of anticipation for the Odyssey when you found it. Because I think I remember this when Erik and I went to go see Oppenheimer together for the live symphony. Erik and I and Griffin Schiller were walking to the car, and we were trying to figure out what he was going to do next. And then, just like a couple months later, this was announced. Mm-hmm. So, for yourself, Sophia, what was your level of anticipation when it was announced? How has that built, or has it been kind of peaks and valleys since? And then what did you think of Nolan's latest, The Odyssey?
Yeah, my anticipation was really high for this because I think, after seeing Oppenheimer and really settling in with it, I naturally thought, okay, what is he going to do next? What do you do when you're on the mountaintop? Where do you go from there? And I actually thought that the Odyssey was a great next step for him because that story I was so familiar with. I think reading it growing up, like even when I was little, like reading junior novelizations of it as a small child and having picture books around it, and then later on reading multiple like different translations of it, teaching it a little bit. But then also I will call the unfortunate reality of reading Ulysses by James Joyce, which is not for the weak. So I'm very familiar with this story. And so I thought like there's a lot in there that just doesn't feel like Nolan to me. That doesn't really match his sensibilities. So I think I was really curious to see how he could pull that off, what he would be interested in from that story. So I think as time went on and we heard about the cast and, all of the collaborators returning to work on this film, like Jennifer Lamb, for example, I was really excited to see what she would do with it because it has a really unique, strange structure. just very, very excited for it. It also, in seeing it though, I have to say it took me the second watch to really click into it because I think that I'm not a stickler on adaptations, famously, like Wuthering Heights, for example, something like The Shining. I love that book and I love that movie, and they are so different, and I love how different they are. And I'm just, again, not really a stickler. I don't really care. I think that if you want to read one version and see another version, I love that. We can have so many different interpretations. But on my first viewing, I really thought, okay, Nolan and I just have very different interests in the Odyssey. The things that I like, the characters I love, are not the same things that he grabs onto. But then when I watched it the second time, I thought, oh, like this is actually a great Nolan film. It like really locked in for me because I was able to instead, I think, just see it as an exploration for him, as a continuation of some themes that he's tackled really since the beginning of his career, but especially, I think, as a pair with Oppenheimer. Do still have some minor quibbles with it. I think we can definitely talk about that. But I think once I was able to realize, like, oh yeah, like it's just like how I talked about on the Oppenheimer episode. Nolan and I just have fundamentally different interests, right? And that's okay. Like that's why he's just not one of those filmmakers where I have many of his films in my top 100 or any really. But I think that this is just actually a really interesting movie, and I'm excited to see it again already for a third time. So I don't know, I have mixed emotions on it, but we can talk through all of those things today.
And we need to, first and foremost, everyone, when we are introduced and talk about our thoughts, which format did you watch it in? Say, hi, my name is Sophia Ciminello. I saw the movie in.
Okay. Hi, my name is Cersei. I saw the film in 70 millimeter IMAX at AMC Lincoln Square, and then I
Okay.
saw it in Dolby. And I have to say, my Dolby experience was better.
That sound.
Wow.
I had no issues with the sound in Dolby.
Wow.
Yep.
And that's saying something because that's like one of the best 70 millimeter IMAX theaters in the world. And the Dolby was better. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. AMC Lincoln Square. Kind of
Both AMC Lincoln Square, though, I will say.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
that theater, perfection.
Well, that
Got my
IMAX
Trojan
now.
horse popcorn bucket.
Yeah, that IMAX now. It's just a garden variety average IMAX now. It's not the place to be.
I don't know.
At least for this film. Erik, all that preamble earlier aside, what did you think of this film?
Let's see. So I saw it in digital IMAX.
Wait. If you're gonna do it right. Hold on. Say your name and everything.
Is this Alcoholics Anonymous?
No. Pick a character to represent. I think Sophia started a good trend there.
Yeah.
Well, John Leguizamo. Who's he?
I am not picking. I'm not picking John Leguizamo. I would never throw a puppy off a cliff. So
no, you totally would. Don't fucking start your shit.
I would never do that.
You would.
I would never.
Sophia, the way he's
not in front of anybody.
Sophia, way he's talked about dogs with us over the years. Wouldn't you clock him as someone that would throw a puppy over a cliff?
I mean, I think maybe a small child even.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not the same.
Oh, it's totally the same.
A small child.
It's totally the same.
When I think of you, Erik, I think of the part in The Witches when Angelica Houston pushes the pram down the mountain, like down the hill at the resort. Yep.
Yeah. That is fair.
Erik would lay a newborn child on a pile of dung.
Anyway, normal episode.
Yeah, Erik, who's your character?
Speaking though of killing children, the best part of Stop That Train is when RuPaul's huge, like, big secret is that she ran over a little girl on the train tracks that had a little red balloon, and it's amazing. Yeah,
I'm so glad you got that in on the Odyssey episode.
Yeah,
so glad that we got that on the record.
Agreed.
Yes.
I agree.
Character, which formats? What'd you think of the film? Come on, Anderson.
Oh my God, I don't know.
Okay,
I am Telemundo or whatever his name is.
Telemundo. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Got World Cup on the brain.
Yeah, he's got World Cup on the brain. Go!
And I watched this in digital IMAX because unfortunately it was supposed to be the 70 millimeter IMAX, but it wasn't working. And then they emailed us like in the middle of the day and said, sorry about it. So it had to be digital IMAX. So, and I did have issues with the sound. Like the first 20 minutes.
The beginning, yeah.
Yeah, everything that Pattinson and Holland, like, forget it. Glad I saw it in the trailer.
Yeah. But anyway, your thoughts on the film? You're just gonna end there? What the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I want to be on the Odyssey episode, but I don't have thoughts.
It's okay.
Oh, don't even. You liked it a couple of days ago.
No, I said I liked it.
Yeah,
I said I liked it.
I didn't.
There's a lot I liked about it.
Check the tape.
That's like where I am in the
I think
camp.
Damon is great. I think Morton is great. I think Holland is terrible. And it's pretty clear he didn't really know how to play it either.
It
he
is
didn't even
so
know how
clear.
old that he was. He was playing it like a 16-year-old. He didn't realize that he's supposed to be like 22. There's a lot of things going on there. I felt like it could have been and should have been two films. Give me a part one and a part two. I would have probably been a lot happier seeing things fleshed out. I think he was almost not setting himself up, but obviously doing it all in IMAX and it having to be under 3 hours.
Yeah,
because you can't. It was very, very much a big issue for him of what mythology gets included and why and how much of it is shown. So there's kind of so little of it. It's wonderful. Cyclops is great. The giants are great. But it also feels to kind of exist in a very different place. Although I love the tone of when they see Cyclops and everything's quiet. I don't know. I think even a room full of anybody would be screaming their heads off, but I liked that. I liked the tone was very unsettling because it was kind of funny and kind of spooky. I don't know. I dug that. I wish there was more. I wanted more of that. I didn't need Clash of the Titans and, stop motion animation, but I definitely appreciated and continue to appreciate his use of practical effects in real world everything, because even in all of those moments, the stakes always feel very, very real. You're seeing real buildings collapse. You're seeing real, people just kind of everything. And that always is something that I think is you'll never be able to replace that with the best CG. So it raised everything for me because that is always so enjoyable.
Jay, we have talked about the up and down relationship that you have had with Christopher Nolan over the course of this series. We are on a run with him.
Oh, this is a love fest.
It's been a love fest the last 3 weeks. We've done a really great job of balancing that out between the also complicated feelings of the 3 weeks before for yourself with Inception.
Purely based on chronological order of the films, but yes, we've done a good job of balancing that.
Yeah. Well, those 3 mixed reviews with 3s that you're absolutely positive about.
Mm-hmm. And
we've come to this. If anyone has seen Jay Ledbetter's review already on letterboxd.com, you already might know a little bit, but I am curious because, Jay, I've kind of saved our conversation about this.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We haven't really dived deeply, all of us, into talking about this, and that's what we're going to do over the course of the rest of the show. What are your thoughts on this film, buddy? Why, spoiler alert, doesn't it work for you?
First of all, hello, everyone. My name is Eurylicus. I saw the film on 70 millimeter non-IMAX. I want to foreground this by saying I have only seen it one time. I plan on seeing it again. I'm in the middle of moving at the moment. Made it kind of hard to see it a second time in just a handful of days and maintain my marriage. But this film, for me, amounts to a bunch of half measures from Christopher Nolan. And I'm going to try to, in the same manner that Sophia did, I'm going to try to not stray into the territory of this is what I like about the Odyssey and I don't understand why he didn't do this. I'm not going to make that part of the critique of the film because this is not how I would have this is not what I would have focused on if I was making the Odyssey. I'm not going to claim to be a better storyteller than Christopher Nolan, but if maybe there are other filmmakers who I might want to tackle this material in a way that is more in line with the way that they view the world. But entirely outside of that, I feel like this film, from almost minute one, I was like, this is so weird that he made this movie. I am so accustomed to Christopher Nolan coming out of the gate like a rocket ship. These traditionally huge set pieces, or in the case of, Oppenheimer, it's just really like, whoa, we're setting up a mystery about this man. And the way that he is able to completely subvert the idea of a biopic with the editing, with Jennifer Lame, whose editing is anything but most of the time. The way that he is able to upend the expectations of a biopic with that editing structure, I think, is miraculous. I think there is an inherent issue you have when you're adapting the Odyssey. The Odyssey is a thing where this thing happens, and then this thing happens, and then this thing happens, and then this thing happens. My expectation was that Christopher Nolan and Jennifer Lame would find some sort of incredibly innovative, interesting way to upend that choppy structure of the film. Instead, I found the structure of the movie to be kind of clunky. I just found it to be a series of things happening that did not thematically cohere in the way that I was expecting them to. And when I talk about the half measures, I think the sort of contemporary twist on the story with the American accents, not doing the classical kind of anybody who's not from America is British type of thing. I think that only goes halfway. And I think he's too scared to go in one direction and too scared to stay completely traditional. And so to me, it just ends up feeling like this concoction that isn't completely balanced. And I think about some of the Cersei sequence, which people are just going nuts over. And it is one of my favorite sequences of the film. But even then, I'm like, he could have gone a little further. Everything is sort of like 1/3 in frame. Why didn't we just go all the way? It feels like he is trying to guard himself as the great purveyor of traditional entertainment to a certain extent. And there are great sequences. I think the first 30 minutes of this movie is bad, like genuinely bad. I think it is just such an uninteresting way to set up a bunch of, he loves a Chekhov something. You've got Chekhov's Einstein in Oppenheimer. You've got, and in this, it's like Chekhov's everything that's going to happen in the next 2.5 hours of the movie. And it does, it becomes sort of a checklist to me. It's like checking off boxes for extended stretches of this film. And I totally do understand this as a spiritual sequel to Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is about, you could easily argue, the most important man in the history of the world. I think that is an argument that could be made in an easy way.
That's the one he kind of set up during the press run for that film. Yeah.
And in the same way, you could argue that the Odyssey is the most important story in the history of Western civilization. So that sense of grandiosity is so ingrained to who he is as a filmmaker at this point. And honestly, I feel like he feels almost as if he has to continue to be bigger as this pseudo savior of a certain type of filmmaking. And I think you feel that in this movie, but I don't think he really achieves that sense of grandeur and certainly not importance. I've talked for a while. I've many more things to say, but I guess that's sort of the 30,000 foot view of why this film generally just does not work for me.
I'm Ryan McQuade. I'm the bard.
You got to pick a character.
I'm the bard.
Okay.
Because I thought that was awesome. I don't give a shit what anything.
It is absolutely insane that the first person you see in this movie is Travis Scott.
I kind of love that.
I kind of roll.
I do too.
Yeah.
Um, I saw this in 70 millimeter, and I saw this in digital IMAX, and in like the second row, which was wild. And I hate sitting in well, actually, the theater that with and to tell you a little quick story, we were going to see it in 70 millimeter IMAX. My mom had never seen a film in IMAX before, and this was going to be the one. And the 70 millimeter IMAX projector here in San Antonio broke after the second screening. So like the first screening, totally fine. Second one, about 20 minutes in, it broke. And so they had to refund everybody's tickets. So I switched to digital, and still looked great. The screen that we have for our digital one is just as large as the 70 millimeter IMAX. So I put a very big amount of thought already into my review that's up on the website. But I will say it here in podcast form. I think that this is the most complicated I have felt about a Christopher Nolan film since Dark Knight Rises. And because I don't outright really like it or really love it, I think that there are massive fundamental flaws within the adaptation. And I'm not one of those people either. Sophia knows this, Jay knows this. I actually prefer if you divert from the original text.
I mean, otherwise you're getting Zack Snyder's Watchmen.
Yeah, I mean, you're just getting like a copy paste of certain things. I mean, one of my favorite films ever is There Will Be Blood, and that is a movie that is completely just taking the themes and discarding a lot of the character, and and really just kind of almost as an original take on it rather than
one battle.
Yeah, exactly, one battle after another. Exactly, Jay.
We'll talk about the writing though, and I feel like that being
yeah, and I think
is he capable of making a truly great adaptation of something that's so well known?
Well, that's fair. I mean, like I wouldn't say Robert Oppenheimer and the American Prometheus novel is well known, but it is a vastly superior script in this in almost every single way. This is I want to be positive up front because I feel like we've already been very negative so far. I think that as a visual device, this is glorious. Like what he does do, even if Jay, you think it's limited, is fantastic. In every story that I've heard, and then when you re-see the film after you hear about the puppeteering, the way in which they did the whirlpool, the rigging of the various monsters, how they did the makeup design for the Cersei stuff, like all of this done in camera, when Hollywood is refusing to do even half of these things in the first place, because the other side of this is Marvel slop. And at least this is interesting enough in visual camera for you to be like, I don't know how they did it, but I am engulfed into all of this with an impeccable sound design, and it looks incredible from Hoyte van Hoytema. And Nolan had a vision for it, and it's his version of it. And I was in awe of all of those designs. But when you take out the middle of this film, and Jay's right, once Matt Damon hits the frame, not in the first glimpse of him on the beach that you see during the Bard's story, but when he's actually having things to do in this film, when he's having to recall his own life through one of the worst plot devices in Nolan's filmography with Calypso, and we'll talk about that. When we actually go through Troy, when we actually go through the adventure home, I think that stuff is absolutely incredible. And that's the stuff that Nolan thematically and visually is aces. It's everything else outside of it, the beginning and then the ending, which is actually the thing that still drives me nuts, because Jay talks about the beginning of Nolan's films, like The Dark Knight Rises, a movie that's complicated but has one of his best openings. Tenet at the Opera House. Dunkirk being chased by the Nazis without seeing them. Heist. The Dark Knight Heist. I mean,
those school buses.
You
think about it. Yeah.
It's great. I mean, like then Oppenheimer with with the sort of flash of his early life and how it's done, how within 30 minutes you know everything you need to know about this man and his life and what's going on. And you've also set up the template of what this movie is going to be in terms of the visual of going backwards and forwards in time and the perception between him and Robert Downey Jr.'s character in the film. The problem with this is that the beginning is so clunky, and it is led by one of his worst cast actors ever in Tom Holland. Like, this is a borderline catastrophist casting. Like, it is so bad, and it reveals to you that Tom Holland is just Spider-Man. He will never be a movie star.
I don't know that it's that, but the character is just like,
and then the character is just his typical
sorry, Homer.
Inception, like almost like Ariadne when Elliot Page is in that film, where they are just asking questions over and over again, and the other characters are having to set everything up. And the ending is pretty much how the poem ends, but it's done in such a weird way in contrast to what he thinks.
Which ending are you talking about?
I'm talking about
the fight or the ship.
Well, the fight is bad. Like, the choreography
the fight is like legitimately bad.
Yeah, it's back to his Batman Begins sort of choreography where you can't see everything in the frame.
He's trying to do John Wick, and he cannot do that. Also, I think doing John Wick is a completely counter to everything that this movie is trying to do.
It is
thematically. I
mean, correct, because like it doesn't, because if you're trying to make Odysseus this complicated character, then it's like, okay, well, then you've also turned him and you're kind of shaking things up there. And it's like, well, then he can't have this full on revenge tale at the end to redeem him. It's like a little bit of like, you're having it both ways. But I think the last bits of the film, like the last like 2 minutes of this movie, derail any of the emotionality I found.
Well, if there's one thing Christopher Nolan loves to do, it's to have a character go off into the sunset with Anne Hathaway.
It really does. But like the dialogue there is like either cut too short. The Tom Holland visual there at the end is like Clash of the Titans hilarious, and in a bad way. And I just was like, this is how he ends this, on kind of a thud. And so it is a movie that has enormous highs for me. But to Jay's point, it does feel like, in trying to adapt this, a story that's already very check your boxes and move along.
It's baked in. I mean,
it's baked in, so you can't really
come up with a solution.
Yeah,
it's kind of out of left field.
And visually, he nails it. But from a story perspective, I think he's too beholden at times to that original structure. And for a man that has tried to subvert structure for a long, long time, he can't help himself but to just rely too much back on it. And Erik mentioned this to me, and I wrote this in the review, but like, Erik, you hit the nail right on the head. Like, it feels like there's a 4.5 hour movie inside of this thing. And so then I just started thinking, oh God, he made a Ridley Scott film. He made his Kingdom of Heaven, where there's a movie where like there's probably a larger cut that makes this better. We're never going to see it. Is that giving him maybe too much credit?
He made the movie that he made.
I know. But like, so did Ridley Scott. And then we saw like 16 versions of every film that we've seen of Ridley Scott in the past. And he loves Ridley Scott.
Well, Ridley Scott is very happy with all the movies he's made until he sees them for the first time. And he's like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm going to fix these.
So I'm still very conflicted on it. I will say, like Sophia, I liked it more because I knew what I was getting myself into. If you're looking at this as a Odyssey adaptation in the definitive take on the Odyssey, then it's not that. Like, it's visually it is, but thematically it's not. As a Nolan film, if you've had struggles with him before, you're definitely going to have struggles with him here. For myself, this is the first time I have felt those struggles at all, as outside of Dark Knight Rises. And Dark Knight Rises, as we talked about on that episode, Jay, that is sort of built in from the loss of Ledger and it not seeming like he wanted to be really fully
right.
into
I mean,
it.
you just have to evaluate the text. I mean, I
Yeah.
understand the hurdles there, but you have to. The text is the text.
This doesn't have hurdles. It has a $250 million check, and he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Absolutely unbeholden to anything in the world.
And so it is like I described it. It is imperfect work, and it's very. I struggle with it a lot because I want to be where it's the first time where I'm like, I want to be where everybody else is on a Christopher Nolan film, and I'm not even close.
This is the only podcast in the world that will have 4 people who are tepid to negative on the Odyssey.
Well, okay. So thinking about the structure, I actually think that the structure of the poem really threw him for a loop and actually held him back, because I think that when you are, and I think that people who haven't read it will really enjoy this movie, and I think that people who have read it will enjoy it. I don't really think you have to have read it to go into it at all, much like any good adaptation, but I think that he actually, in thinking about it, I think he leaned too far into the poem's structure of the jumpy nature of it, of just going from one book to the next book to the next book. And that works on the page, but that doesn't necessarily work on screen. And Jay, like you were saying, you have to have a solution to make that feel a bit more fluid and a bit less choppy. And I actually think it, on paper, benefits Nolan in a way, because he really, I thought, would have started with the Trojan horse set piece. I think that would have actually been a great way to kick things off, to really start this story, and then you can really go into Telemachus a bit more. I think you really could have started with Travis Scott and then have gone like right into that, but instead, by setting this up in the way that he does, I think, because for me, even though I liked it more on second watch, and there are parts of this movie that I really do love, I feel like I'm also just doing that. I'm like, I feel myself like trying to love this movie as I'm talking
I
through
do
it.
feel, I mean, even when Ryan was talking, I was like, Ryan, I don't think you like this movie as much as you're thinking.
But in that opening section, I think a huge part, and this is something that I was actually talking to my dad about as we were parsing through it, is that in Oppenheimer, say what you want about Downey, but Downey's a great actor. And so is Cillian Murphy. And you have those as the two who you're going back and forth between. And here, having Holland as Telemachus really be your starting point to anchor this story, it just didn't work for me. I think he is he's not really up to the task. And, I think that parts of his performance worked because he has to lean into that, a little bit green, a little bit naive. He's seeking those answers. I think that works. But I also think that this script does not know what to do with Telemachus as a character, because, to Tom Holland's credit, in this script, there are moments that cite him as a teenager or not yet an adult. And he's supposed to be in his 20s. So I don't blame him for being a little bit confused in how he's playing the character, even though it doesn't, I mean, I blame him a little bit, but I think those are actually script issues too, that it doesn't seem like Nolan wants to decide whether he is in his early 20s, which would have been middle-aged in the BCE time, or if he wants him to feel a little bit more like a kid. And I think that Holland, with the movies he's been in previously and just his skills as an actor, he naturally leans into that, like I said, that green, childlike, childish nature, which is, unfortunately, then you have him with Antinous, Robert Pattinson, who is just like, I love in this movie. I think he's great. And you have Eumaeus, and I think that it is just not, it doesn't feel balanced, and it feels off for Nolan, because we're so used to, I think, him starting with a major set piece, and he doesn't here. And I actually think it would have benefited him to start that way.
I agree with you, Sophia, because he kind of glimpses at it during the Bard's opening, song, story. And I thought, oh, this is where he's going to jump into that footage that we saw of the Trojan horse for all those months leading up to the film's release. And he doesn't. We don't get to that till about 35 minutes into the film when we see that. And it's through John Barenthal's, retelling of that.
Sounds like a bartender I would talk to.
Yo, what's up, bro?
Here.
Yeah. I don't care. No. I think
Barenthal's
great. Like,
what's up,
he's just
dude?
doing it. Yeah.
Me and the boys are hitting the club
You
later.
sit down. You tell me what you want.
I can't decide how I feel about it yet. I'm a Bernthal. I'm a Bernthal bro.
I'm pro Bernthal
in general. It was very Last Temptation of Christ.
Oh, it's very Harvey Keitel.
I always call Harvey Keitel Brooklyn Judas. But I like that.
But no, he used that film as a point of reference for this movie. In a lot of ways, is what he said behind the scene. But
could have a little more.
Yeah, could have. I mean, honestly, could have gone a little bit more because Scorsese goes all the way in that third act with what he wants to do there, and Nolan's only the other thing that drives me nuts about this movie is beyond just what you're talking about, Sophia, and the structure and how Tom Holland there is acting around literally way better actors with better material than he is the fact that like this movie doesn't want to commit not just on a thematic level but on a mythological level. Like it doesn't want to involve itself at all with the text's actual way in which it wants to have gods, and
that's the literalization of everything that I don't like about Christopher Nolan. That's the thing that I'm trying to prevent myself from talking about. Like any mysticism or spirituality would, in my opinion, is part of what makes the story so great, and he just completely avoids it.
He does.
Yes.
Yeah.
But imagine him doing it. That's my thing. Like I think I can't see him doing it.
I can.
This is a man. I'm just like,
this is a man that talks about magic tricks literally his entire career, and he doesn't want to talk about, doesn't want to show it. It doesn't want to like have perspectives. How,
but I think it makes more sense for him in a way to see like, oh, this is how I envision a human being interacting with a god or a goddess, which is very modern. So again, I think it actually is that clash between like, do you want to lean back into the text or do you want to make it more modern? I think he's conflicted there, and that's what the problem is, because he's not committing. That's
what I'm saying.
The opening title card says everything in a time of apparent
magic. And it's like,
so he has to figure out, how is this not magic?
And it's like, well, it's not magic. Like you know, because then these characters that he does present that do have magic or do have, spiritual elements to them. And if you're going to ground them in realism, then that's not what the Odyssey is either. So, it's his version of the Odyssey. But he has those elements in them. So it's like, I know you don't want to go into it, Jay, but you have to go into it. You have to talk about the things that he omitted in order to then present. And I think that those things that he omitted also is another hand behind his back in terms of what he can do creatively with the material that he's trying to adapt. And that I told Erik this earlier in the week, he puts his toe into the water, but he doesn't want it. He's not.
That's what I'm saying. It's like half dozen half measures.
It's like he's not figuring out what he wants to do. And that is one of the huge things about this movie that is at conflict. Not just that, like the stuff about Odysseus and his relationship with how it parallels to Oppenheimer and all that stuff. We'll talk about that. But this is fundamentally where he catches himself in a big bind throughout this. Erik, you were going to say something?
Well, I was thinking actually a lot of what Jay had said earlier, and kind of wondering if he thought, or you guys think, that Nolan might be a little bit high on his own supply now.
I got that vibe a little bit with this,
which is partially unfair, because he's been kind of given this crown of everything from box office savior to
King of Cinema,
all of these things,
president of the DGA.
He has all of these
keeping
things.
Film alive, keeping practical effects alive,
yes,
all that stuff,
all that stuff. So he doesn't have I don't know, it's like he doesn't have like guardrails or something that is
I think
maybe that in check. I don't know.
No, I think you're right, because I think that for some people, not us, not me and Jay, they felt that with Tenet. where it's like, this is a guy that just is going.
And I love Tenet.
Yeah. Oh, thank God. Everybody here loves Tenet.
I'm much more emotionally attached to Tenet than the Odyssey.
Correct.
Yes.
And you honestly shouldn't. Like this is a movie you should be very emotionally invested in.
Tenet is great Diet Coke drinker representation.
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
And we do love that.
And we love that.
We got 2 people drinking DCs on this pod right now.
Hell yeah. Yeah. That's the population right there. But I will say to this, Erik, is that when reading about Oppenheimer and when that was being created, there was a sense of doubt that was involved within a lot of people. Like you read about the Broccoli's not wanting to give him a real chance at making Bond, and how even giving him $100 million felt like a risk after Tenet and everything. And it's like, wait, this is Christopher Nolan. And then I listened to his interview with Jon Stewart on The Daily Show, and Nolan talked about the only way I could have gotten this movie made, this one, The Odyssey, is because of the enormous success and critical success and the Oscar success of Oppenheimer. Now, I think that's a little tongue in cheek, but that's sort of
I think it's absolutely
the reality of his reputation after the release strategy of Tenet. You know,
the equal to that is James Cameron and Titanic.
Yeah,
because it was exactly the same. This was a director who hadn't gotten, Oscar success or recognition, but pretty great box office, but also kind of genre. Mm-hmm. And it took Titanic being the humongous gamble financially that it was, that turned out to pay off and, win 11 Oscars, for then him to have essentially kind of a blank check to do whatever he wanted.
Kevin Costner Dances with Wolves too. Just like you got,
I'm not going to go there.
The whole time leading up to it, it was like Kevin's Gate, absolute calamity. What is going on?
Yeah, I would say, but then he actually did that.
He did it.
Well, I would say
it's not like Cameron was on a cold streak going into Titanic, but everybody was doubting Titanic before it came out. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. That gave Cameron complete freedom and budgets and everything, and then he just is going to be doing Avatar for 35 years,
and we love that,
and we love it. I mean, I think that Erik, you're actually pretty close to it as well, because I think that I was reading when I was watching the film, I was like, oh, this is what it must have felt like when I was a kid watching Peter Jackson's King Kong. When we talked about that on the show a couple of years ago, of like a guy that is riding as on the highest of highs off of a seeming everyone doubting him sort of like long run. He makes Lord of the Rings. He's at the height. What do you want to do? You want to make something, whatever you want. And they're like, we will give you the biggest check in the world. And he goes, I would like to make my King Kong.
But the difference is he was like slavishly in love with the original King Kong. Nolan is taking a lot of liberties with the Odyssey.
True.
And no criticism of that.
No,
inherently, but I don't.
I'm just saying in terms
he takes it is not totally successful.
I'm just saying I'm not saying in terms of the full on execution. I'm just saying
the hubris might be similar.
I was going to say, I just think that in a little bit of this guy was doubted that he could stick the landing on this. He stuck the landing and then some, made a $900 million plus biopic that people went to see hand over fist, won a ton of Oscars. And then he's like, what do you want to do next? I would like to do the Odyssey for $250 million and no one tell me anything otherwise. That is getting to do whatever you want. And I think it costs him on the script, but visually, guys, I'm telling you, I don't have a problem with the way this movie operates.
This is the worst looking movie him and Hoyte have done together.
Oh, I disagree.
Really?
I think
I think there are some shots that are beautiful.
There are some shots that are beautiful. There are some sequences that are beautiful. It is often very dark, with a lot of close-ups, which I find to be much less interesting than some of the stuff that he's done in the past. I think anything that's on a boat in a storm, to me, is just like,
stuff on the boat is awesome. Like when
the final boat.
Yeah, I love the boat stuff. I think the crap. I just like when it splits apart and he's going off to Calypso and his men are dying after we know that they're going to be demised. Like I just think, oh, that's beautiful. I don't know. Both in 70 and in IMAX. I think him and Nolan, Hoyte and Nolan have kind of been the kings of beige and gray. Like I don't know how Hoyte gets so much
pop out of gray.
That's why I love him.
And I love that. But this, to me, I was like, this is getting a little muddy. This is looking like, I know Sophia and Ryan aren't going to like this.
Shit.
Getting a little Dune-ish for me.
Oh, no. This is way better than Dune. You got to be kidding me.
It was veering closer to that territory than I would like it to. There are sequences where that is wholly, entirely untrue. I think, and we should probably at some point just talk about like our favorite sequences and stuff like that, because how else do you talk about this movie other than the slices of pie that make it up? But anyway, that was one of my thoughts.
Well,
again,
what about you?
Got to see it again. That might change. But
what about you, Doctor? Then what is your favorite sequence then?
My favorite sequence is the Hades sequence.
Yeah,
very dark,
very Dune, right?
That is very gray, but it has pop. It's grays and blacks, and it to me
blue. It's more blue than
it's more blue.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of blue in this movie.
Yeah, and I think Elliot Page knocks that monologue out of the park. That to me was a very emotionally charged sequence, which I wish there was more emotional electricity to this movie as a whole.
Yeah,
it was generally to me a pretty cold movie, but that sequence. I think that storyline, in fact, sort of becomes the crux of the whole movie to a certain extent.
I kind of liked it. I liked it more on the second go round than I did the first.
I love that Hades sequence. I mean, that and the Cersei sequence back to back is kind of the peak. Yeah.
I think I
could rewatch that and be happy.
I think all four of those set pieces back to back to back of the Cyclops, the Giants.
See, the Cyclops is too dark to me. That was one sequence where I was like,
really dark. I like that. I was so wrapped up in
it's good
in all of it. And I was just like, and Bill Irwin too. I was like, oh my God, this I was so impressed by that. And maybe I'm just a sucker for like, oh, I know that they didn't do any CGI on this. I'm like, how did they get away with this? And I want to know all the tricks about everything here. That maybe you're right, Jay, that some of it is too dark, but I just was like, you know what? I've forgiven directors for far other things when what they're doing here is a choice and they're having to use the camera to trick and to move things around so that they can use force perspective, use this puppeteering rig.
Yeah, but that's like
Irwin, it's all cool.
That's how the sausage is made stuff. That's not.
I know, but I love it. But like, stuff. And then in the movie, when you watch
over to the movie,
I know, and I'm watching it, I'm like, how are they doing? And like, well, that's all the thoughts I have in my head. But I'm also like, how are they doing this? Because I think it's beautiful and it's breathtaking and it's haunting and terrifying. Like all those sequences are terrifying.
I do love quite a few of those sequences. I think specifically Cersei and Hades the most for me. They actually, like, from the Cyclops to Hades, they get better for me because I think that any issues I have with the Cyclops scene in particular and the Cersei scene are that it's kind of like what you were saying, Jay, is that we don't spend enough time. Like, I just felt like he was trying, I think with the Cyclops scene in particular, I was like, you just want to move from point A to point B to point C. Like, these are your story beats of the Cyclops. It's like, he comes in, he eats people. Okay, now he's asleep. Now what are we going to do next? And it feels very telegraphed in a way that I just didn't, I didn't
doesn't
feel
let you
it was
linger
scary.
in the dread.
I didn't like feel, it didn't breathe
plot
to
points.
me.
Yeah.
See, I thought it did.
Yeah, no, I didn't, and I felt like the Cersei scene as well. Like, there's something about him. I'm trying to think of how to say this. There's something about how he's only in these places in the film for a short period of time that for me, I think this movie's greatest crime, if there is one, is that I do not feel the length and weight of that journey away.
20 years. Yeah.
Because if something just feels like it's like, oh, we're here for a minute, we're here for a day, we're here for, X amount of time, like, and it feels very short to me, then I don't feel, it feels like those 3 scenes took place over 3 days. Even and then in later scenes,
I agree with that. That is so true.
That's true.
I didn't think about that, but that's so true.
He kind of Forrest Gumps his way through everything. That's how it started to.
That might be the most damning statement anyone has said on this podcast so far.
And when I was getting home, I was sailing.
It kind of started to feel like that.
Yeah. It does that. You do not feel the 20 years at all. Also, that dog, that's one of the oldest dogs that's ever lived.
I love that dog, though.
That's the oldest dog since Mariah Carey's Cat and Glitter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that I did think about that a lot watching.
Yeah, I was thinking about Glitter too. I was like, oh my God, this is Nolan's Glitter. But then I was also thinking like that dog has probably lived longer than most human beings during that time period. You know what I mean?
Well, that is true. Yeah. And speaking to the Tom Holland thing about his age, that's one of the things where it kind of betrays the modernity that also kind of bleeds into this movie is this idea of him being the age that he is while everyone else is sort of operating. You're like, oh, Matt Damon is Jason Bourne and Tom Holland is like this vaguely unrecognizable age for modern times or ancient times. And also, he's bad. I mean, I'm sorry.
I mean, I do kind of like hope that
every time you see him, you're kind of expecting him to just be like, "Oh boy,
Dolly. Yeah."
But it is.
Let me help you, Mr. Stark. Let me help you, Mr. Odysseus.
It's a Peter Parker performance, just subdued, and I feel like I was watching him go, "All right, don't be too Peter. You got to bring it down." But
you're a real actor, Tom. He was looking in the mirror every time you're a real actor.
That's Chalamet gets to be Paul Atreides. I got to be something else other than Spider-Man. It's
everyone loves my wife so much. You can do that too, Tom.
It does feel like that Zendaya supposedly got the only perfects on the film from Nolan, which is very funny. Given the context.
And Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway got one?
Yes.
Yeah.
I watched an interview where she does this really cute little thing where
like,
I can't remember who did it, but someone else was like, well, Anne, you got a perfect too. And she's like, I did.
But then like you can probably tell it got to Tom Holland probably a little bit of being like, what? I'm not perfect. Like
I don't know
I can do something here. Sophia, like I think that he's getting outacted by every single performer in this movie.
I mean,
including that dog.
Including that fucking dog. Like every one of them, just like Corey Hawkins,
Logan
Robert
Marshall
Pattinson.
Green. Corey Hawkins is really good.
He's really good
I
in this
really
movie.
like Corey Hawkins.
He's
got presence, man.
We do not give Corey Hawkins enough work in this world.
And he is so good at period.
Yeah, like this and
Macbeth.
He's fantastic in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
And like Hathaway chews him up, spits him out. Pattinson does that. Leguizamo in his scenes with him. And I mean, when Matt Damon's there opposite him, it's like, it's not even a contest. Like, it is kind of funny that like, it feels like Nolan's saying a little bit of like, well, I need Jason Bourne in this movie because movie stars like the Spider-Man kid ain't gonna be.
Well, Damon is such a likable, you always root for Damon.
Is that a problem with the
sort
film?
of his magic.
No, I think he's great here. I think he's really like him here.
I think the idea of his character. Can we just? I just want to ask.
Got to talk about it.
What is the main idea of this movie? What is the thematic thesis of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey and the way that he changes the original text?
It is like if one battle after another and Oppenheimer had a baby.
It really is.
Which means what?
Which means we are great men are great and they are cursed to live with what they did, what they created, the terror that they spawn, and the future will be forever affected by that.
Yeah.
So it's a cost of violence story. I mean,
sure.
yeah.
Which is what the Odyssey is too. I mean,
it is.
He makes it feel more, he wants to make it feel more contemporary, and he wants, I think, audiences, and this might be a little bit of the hubris or not, we can talk about it, but I think he wants audiences to, maybe not. I think he wants audiences to sit in this theater and think like, this story has been repeated and is repeating for centuries. That's why, like, in his ending, I mean, I think all of his dialogue is always a little bit laughable, and we can talk about some of that. But the last line, or one of the last lines when he says, Odysseus says, and dawn will break over the darkened world, and our mistakes will once again be forgotten. Yeah. That's the thesis of the movie.
It does get pretty on the nose at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's the end of it could be the end of our Bronze Age or whatever they say.
Well, I mean, so then is that kind of the issue that he's backed himself into this corner now with two stories that have really no everyman or every person quality to them, but absolutely like a singular person so removed from virtually the entire human race that
Well, haven't all of, I mean, 80% of his movies have been about great men.
Well, I don't know about great men, but if you think about
I mean, in air quotes, capital G, capital M, great men thing.
Well, it's always going to be, a man that has to, overcome whatever.
Burdened with the responsibility of saving the people around him.
Yeah, but I don't think he's like in love with them or anything. You know, I think he's critical of them.
Yeah, but there's
himself in conversation with them. That's another part of it.
Yeah,
kind of like that. That's what I mean.
There is. That's what I mean. There is
he always has a character in his film that is the Christopher Nolan character.
I mean, I think there is a little bit of always him having a dialogue about his placement in the world, and I think there's also a place in being like. And if he is being critical of himself, he's being very critical of himself in terms of, if I'm the guy leading all this, what does then that say about the entire industry at large? Is that the only people want to go see my films, but what does the rest of the world look like? What is the causality of making one superhero movie that everybody loves, and the sort of tentacles that come from that? I think that could be interpreted in such a way, but he's done that, I think, in a much more interesting.
He might have a lot of guilt about the Batman trilogy.
I think he really does. Yeah. Like I think those movies.
I was following orders. I made The Dark Knight. It was for the worst.
I know.
Everyone who loves.
I followed orders. They made me make Dark Knight Rises. It made $1 billion, and now that's what everybody is going to just think about for the rest of my career. But
or not even that, just the broader industry implications of doing that.
But I think that this movie, how I always interpret the Odyssey, is never about what he does with the Trojan horse. It's always been at least taught in high schools and taught in middle schools, and the original story and way it's taught is that this is a movie about a man, or a story about a man trying to get home, and the struggles for that person to get home, and through the gods and defying it and having to go. And it sounds like a big epic bedtime story in a lot of ways. And I think what Nolan wants to do here is like, no, actually, the Trojan War, and he says this, and it's like a great line that Damon says in one of his monologues. I think it's the line that he's saying to Hathaway, which is that I saw when I opened those gates 10 years of rage, fall on the city of Troy that night. And I don't know if we've ever seen, and this is what Nolan's interested in, is that the man that came up with this trick, this idea to end a war, there's ramifications to that. Now, whether it's like really within the moment of him figuring that out or not, that's a little bit, that's the Nolan stuff as well. But him being haunted by that, if he's not going to have the gods, then he's personally haunting himself at his choices as he's going home in victory, is an interesting way of framing this story that we haven't seen in a way. And to me, it was like Nolan saying that every war is probably ended or created by men that in the history books you would call great, or call a strategist, or call a genius, but that person had to carry that weight all the way home on that journey as well. And his vision of Athena, while I think like Athena has more to do in the text, it's an interesting way of using it here in his version.
Athena is just like, I don't really like the use of Athena.
But
it grew on me in the second watch.
It does. Like it grew for me more on the second watch, and I felt,
God, on the first watch, it's just like this young woman is so pure. It's like.
But also, there's
a little maturity.
But there also is a little bit of like when they talk about like you never know if a god is in disguise or not, or in human form. And I think Nolan is suggesting that, and maybe this is bad, but like there's also a suggestion of potentially that they did kill Athena that night. because she was watching over him
certainly
symbolically. And so,
I guess the great structural trick of the movie is that they show the sacking of Troy first, and you're like, that's pretty badass, and then later you're like, this is horrific.
Yeah, it's a genocide.
That's not that transgressive in any way, I don't think. It's executed well enough, I think, but it's not. This is not a complicated movie in any way other than, whoa, look at how expensive and big this thing is. And to me, it's like it loses story and character in the name of grandeur. In the same way that like Cleopatra does. Cleopatra sucks. They thought about everything with Cleopatra except how to make it a good movie. It's massive and there's 6,000 people on screen at once, but it's just like a bad movie. They forgot the stuff that actually matters. And this is not to that extent, but it
kind of sounds like you wanted to. It is to that extent, buddy.
No, because there's sequences that I think are incredibly effective. And there are a lot of sequences that I think are completely ineffective. Everything with Charlize Theron, I think, is near disastrous. She's looking good though.
That is when I think, to Erik, your point, when he gets a little bit too like, I'm going to take this story, which I feel like, with the theme of what Damon's going through and the siren song and everything, like that sequence is also supposed to be torturous to him. And he took it as like, let me adapt it into almost like a plot device to set up those other stories, but then also like a Talia al Ghul-esque twist to it all, where it's like, how long have I really been gone? 7 years. And it's like, well, yeah, we all fucking know that. We've been watching this movie for the last 2 hours. Like, none of this is a surprise to anyone.
That definitely doesn't feel like that long.
Well, also, Damon looks like he's having a full-blown orgasm tied to that boat. He is not in pain. That did not look right.
Well, but it changes. It goes from like orgasm to sad.
And then that's dark. The whole point of his speech, right? It's like, I got to experience the things that were greatest in my life, and then the agony of that is that they're no longer.
But why would she?
I don't really like the way that was executed with you never really see you see him through the fog, and then
the siren song stuff is incredible. And I think Damon. I'll
give it a 6 out of 10.
He's so fucking good. Oh my God.
One complaint I have: Matt Damon should have sex with all the women in this movie.
Can I talk about this actually?
Yes, you can.
This is important, and this is the greatest issue of the movie for me.
Wow.
Is that there is so much sex and sexuality in the Odyssey, and that is not here at all. Like he has sex with Calypso for 7 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Cersei.
He also is with Cersei for a year.
To have the men recover from what you
the story ends around Odysseus and Penelope's bed. Like their bed is a core part of this story. And it's just not here at all. And I feel
not really Nolan's bag.
But
that's one of the things where you're like, is that what you want Christopher Nolan to be doing?
Because as you guys know, I do not like the sex scenes in Oppenheimer with Florence Pugh. They make me laugh every single time.
I think
they are embarrassing. I feel like here,
Destroyer of Worlds.
It's like, again, like I said on the episode, an intellectual's wet dream that I do not want any part of.
I think the Emily Blunt stuff in the hearing's great. Like she's just like, imagine filming that. By the way, we never talked about that, but imagine just like Florence Pugh and Cillian Murphy taking direction like that in front of a Tony Goldwyn in a room full of people. Like just like.
Don't bring up Tony Goldwyn and sex.
But Nolan is too much of a wife guy to have the extramarital sex in the film, and too much of a prude.
Well, and that's the thing is he completely changed. So he completely changes Odysseus, which I think works to some extent, but Odysseus in the story, right? Like he's a trickster, he's wily, and that fits the Greek definition of a hero. Their heroes were not altruistic. Right. Here, I think like it's much more about like this man's own personal reckoning with, what he's done, and that's a lot heavier than what the Odyssey feels like. And I like that change. I think it works to some extent. And I think the reason why it works for me is that, in thinking of the Odyssey, I've never thought of this as a story about penance and like personal like needing
Not
to
at all. Not at all.
unpack that. And this is what this movie is also about.
It's what it's all about.
That's the gambit. Yeah,
And I think that works for me in thinking of like what you not wanting to go home because you feel you don't deserve to, feeling like you
after
have
what
to
you've
kind
done.
of take on this pain because of what you've done to others. And the idea that so many of these like great men could feel that, I think that's interesting. And I think that is in Nolan's wheelhouse more so than this, like, I don't know, kind of like cad of a man who's like smarter than everybody else and is also like, yeah, I'm gonna sleep with this nymph or this goddess or this witch. Like that's what I'm gonna do when I'm away from home.
Well, it's also
that would have been so much more fun because
and that's my type of movie.
I would like it for this. I would love if this movie was like fun. That would be awesome.
He's not like that at all. Either he's constantly putting, you know, his men in danger, but knowing why. But it never. Yeah, he's too. I don't know, like sad maybe about it. I
think heavy. It feels heavy.
I think that's the right way of saying it, Sophia. It's like it is that he feels. I think the burden of having to adapt this material in such a way, but also, you know, I do think. I mean, Jay, we've talked about it. Like, Nolan has campiness inside of him. He has a silly bone in him.
A lot of his Batman movies are quite silly.
They're quite silly stuff. Like, he has humor inside of his movies. This is the most humorless film to date. Like, outside of
this the most Villeneuve film Nolan has made?
Well, no,
because it's the great debate of our Dark Knight Rises.
Because I would still take this.
Maybe we've got egg on our face at this point.
No, I would still take this over the Dune films and some of his other films. So, like, I think
I like both Dune films more than this film.
I think you're nuts. I just think you are, because I think that those are.
I'd take this over every.
The Dune films are much more cohesive than this film.
Well, and he's another director that has,
but he's also just trying to be team. He's team
has hit a place where it's like, what he's not gonna make Enemy again. That'll never happen,
right? No, because he's going from Dune 3 to Bond. So, like, we already know where he's going to
the Bond.
I guess that means that at least his Cleopatra is toast.
No, I mean, like, Jay, I watched the trailer for Dune 3 ahead of this movie, and I was like, oh, so Dune 3 is just going to be his version of the Odyssey and some of the themes that are inside.
But what does that
what
does that mean? He didn't see the Odyssey before he had made Dune 3.
He's
like, are you just saying Christopher Nolan gets credit because his movie came out first?
No, he's always in response to Christopher Nolan. He wants to be Christopher Nolan and will never be that. It's like, literally, if you watch that trailer,
I'm so sorry I did this.
It is about Paul Atreides having to deal with the reckoning of the war that he started. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Villeneuve is interested in very different things than Christopher Nolan is.
That's a specious argument. I don't know about that.
It is literally go watch that trailer and then think about the ending of this movie, and it will be like, oh shit, it's the same thing that's going to be shown twice this year. It literally
that's just by virtue of storytelling being a very limited number of
There's only 7 stories.
You're right, Eric. I agree with you.
That's what that really
is limited. You're absolutely right.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
There you go. So, what is Sophia showing us?
Robert Pattinson. Yeah, should we? I think that's what we have to talk about now.
He's so fucking good.
He might be the best actor in the world.
He is the best actor in the world. Like, I don't give a shit.
He's the man.
So fucking good.
He's the best of all of his peers, for sure.
Yeah, of his generation.
It's because he can work on big scale movies, small scale movies. He
just
can
has great
he can take
taste.
risks. Yeah. I mean, like, his year alone.
He's using his clout for good.
Yeah. It's like, why
he's a weirdo.
He's a weird, and
he is a weirdo.
And he puts that weirdo performances inside, like, he puts his weirdo persona inside his performances. He's willing to, you know.
Well, and then he reads the Odyssey, and then he's like, "This has Casino energy to me. I'm going to channel James Woods from Casino."
I think he and I have similar reads on the Odyssey, because his whole thing about James Woods and Casino, wanting to wear cheetah print underwear, as part of his character, like, he understands something more fun there. But that's not what this movie is.
I do like what
I'm glad he wanted to lean into that.
I do like what Nolan does with Antinius, because he essentially makes him both of the main suitors into one. And Corey, in the Odyssey, there's two main suitors. Antinius is more of the secondary one, but still around a lot. And so he ties this story of Sinon, who's not in the Odyssey, into this story with Antinius. And I actually think a lot of that works, especially to Pattinson's favor in the third act. And I just think there's something great about watching him as Odysseus is going on his full on. The great parts of the action sequences there aren't what Matt Damon's doing. It's the reactions from fucking Pattinson going like, get the spears, get the swords, get fucking anything, kill this man. Like shit,
being pathetic.
It's such a pathetic, and also
I like that. That was the best part.
Like him being like, I don't need to string this bow. Like you just need to make a choice.
He's like, we know we can't be Odysseus. Yeah. I love characters like that.
It's all like, come on, like, yeah, I'm a coward, but like, look at me, I'm Robert Pattinson.
It's still very, very reserved though for him.
It is. It's not very big. But the person who's going big is Hathaway.
Yeah,
the queen.
I mean, I'm sure he didn't want to run into the situation of it feeling too much like the king. And how fucking insane the dude
I love that performance though.
Because that's to me, that's if that hadn't already happened, that's what I wanted this to be between like those two.
Are you talking Bernthal?
No, we're talking Pattinson.
Pattinson.
Have you seen The King, Jay?
The King, the movie. I thought you were talking about the King, the character.
Yes. Invoking Chalamet.
Oh, yeah. I love it when he's such a little...
That dynamic is fantastic
in that movie. He's so good in that movie.
I think it's might be
generally a fairly mediocre movie, but he rules in that movie.
Yeah.
So I think it probably would have been a poor choice to try and replicate that performance, but it just, I don't know. Maybe I just wanted him to be more than just.
You wanted him to be a little bit more slimy.
Weakling.
You wanted this to be made by a different director.
See, because
I think that feels like
or have a funny little accent or just something. I don't know.
But he also directed Heath Ledger in Dark Knight. Like that is one of the biggest performances that has ever been.
Yeah. So he can do
I think a lot of the tonal monotony, tedium of this movie lie directly at the feet of Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
And some of the performances where you're like, there wasn't really a whole lot going on. It's because it was like, this is a very serious thing that we're doing here, everyone. And so I need you to take this very
seriously.
Except Bernthal, you can like just do your thing, man.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, we just hired you to do your one note thing, and it's great. I mean, I love a lot of the performances here. I think Matt Damon is so fucking good in this
Matt Damon
movie.
Is great.
He's really good. Yeah.
And I really love Anne Hathaway. I think she's phenomenal. And I think, the problems
she's going pretty big though.
Yeah, she is going big in this. And I think she understands and he trusts her to go that way. I think that this being her third film with him, she's allowed a lot more latitude than other people are. I think that she's given a lot more of a grace to be able to go big in those moments. I think she's also providing energy for two people in a lot of ways when she's with Tom Holland in those scenes. And I also think Nolan does a good job of expanding her role from what is a fairly basic character in the Odyssey. Like, I think that if he's going to try to make her more modern,
great female character debate of Christopher Nolan's
career. Is there
time for that?
I will stand up for her here because I do think that, like, if he's trying to modernize it, this is a woman that has been there for 20 years. It is ruling, and it is her. If it's her throne, it should be. But because of the time period and because of what is, her son, who's this inexperienced wimp, and she has seen this for 3 years with these suitors there, wants to take control of something that should just be hers. It'd be an extension and continuation of Odysseus and the laws that they set up together as husband and wife. And having to marry and stuff like that does not seem like that she wants to do any of that. And I think Hathaway sells a lot of that expansion of that character. So I do give Nolan a little bit of a credit there. It's not a perfect expansion of it. Oh, I do. I give him and I give Hathaway.
All the credit goes to Hathaway because
he wrote the fucking character. It's on the page.
She's great in that scene. Her dialogue in that scene is fucking terrible.
No, it's
the dialogue is so rough when she says, I laughed in the movie when she's my years of experience. That's nothing compared to the bristles on your chin. I was like, okay, he's trying.
It was bad. It was bad. And she sells it.
But she's good.
Let Christopher Nolan be a wife guy. Just let him go.
I think that also though, like I agree though. I think that Penelope is an improvement for someone who I've criticized a lot about their female characters. I think she's a big improvement. I think that some of that is the focus on her at times. I wanted more of her when she wasn't on screen. I missed her. I wanted more of her. And
then we would have had more
in large part due to Hathaway. But then I will also say he undoes all of that with Calypso.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
Is the classic Nolan issue. It is Charlize Theron looking absolutely like insanely gorgeous. Who would ever want to leave that island? But she looks it's a perfume ad. It's a perfume ad. It's like she exists to ask questions and to teach a lesson, and we know next to nothing really about her.
But why does she want to let him go?
She's a tool to teach men something.
Yeah, but why would she want him in the first place? Why did she let him go?
Because
it's
that's
all in the original text.
Yeah,
but it's not here.
But it's not here.
It's not.
And so
that's because how do you do all of this in a 3-hour movie? There's a reason that everybody in school teaches. They learn this not in totality, but in segments.
I understand.
Like I studied 3 chapters of the Odyssey in high school, not the whole Odyssey, because you can't do that in a 2-week school lecture.
You can do it here if you're not beholden to 70 millimeter IMAX. That's really what it comes down to. Eric's absolutely right. At the start of all this is that he is beholden to 70 millimeter IMAX and shooting everything on that fucking blimp. And while it is cool and the technology is great and it's going to advance and make more movies that, will be able to use that, not many filmmakers have 3 hours in them to tell a story. And this is a story.
I'm not going to blame him shooting it on IMAX for Charlize Theron's character being
but that I'm not, but what I'm saying is that you make certain decisions in your writing if you know that you can't go further than what you want to go with. And I think
that was Jennifer Lame's when I told you that was from her saying that she had to make so many massive cuts to get it under 3 hours.
Yeah.
So there is more movie there. But the thing with Calypso that's specifically to this that is, I think, unexplored is that, he's eating this lotus flower. So he's drugged and not really seeing anything. So however she is presented, this is how he sees her only. And so our only way is to kind of be that. We don't get to know anything about her, which really sucks, but we have to go with what we're being presented because it's basically all that he's seeing. But it didn't work.
Yeah, because like in the Odyssey, it's almost played as if it's like Circe in a lot of ways in the film, where it's like this punishment onto Odysseus as the pigs were onto Circe. It's like he is held captive, and yes, it looks like he's having the best time of his life, having sex and eating all this food.
Right.
And
as opposed to now, this is where he has the revelation of I
caused war.
The self-discovery occurs with
and
Calypso.
She doesn't give him up easily. There is a massive fight between the gods, and it's Athena begging Zeus, and it's all this stuff and everything. And like Athena could have been a part of some of this story where it's in his version. If you wanted to correct it and do it in a way, it's like, okay, well then give more for Zendaya to do where she is using her powers or using her
in the original story,
to wake him up.
Getting off of Calypso's, is that Hermes who is just like, bro, you gotta snap out of it?
Yeah, it's like Hermes mixed with Athena telling Zeus, like, being like, okay, we we have punished this man enough, and then there is a PTSD. But Jay, there's a
the Odyssey is full of 6,000 Deus Ex Machinas.
Correct, but there's also a PTSD involved with Odysseus, where it's like, I don't know if you're going to trick me again because I've been in this prison for such a long time. And there is this untrusting nature of the gods going forward on this journey. And instead, Nolan's like Inception, like with Don Cobb being like, take a leap of faith, Mr. Odysseus, and go across that water and you'll get there. And it's like, you got to be fucking kidding me. It's so, this whole section is fucking dumb. It is so stupid, and I don't understand why all these people that put out 5 stars.
The website is going to get shut down after this podcast.
I mean, we are.
It's
the part that I'm like, I was in the IMAX sitting there watching and going like, I can't believe this fucking guy wrote this thing. This is so, and I was watching some people's reactions.
Brian, you better knock off 2 stars from your review after this podcast.
Well, no, because I do love a lot of stuff, and yet you
clearly.
Well, I think the fundamental problems of this movie take a lot out of me, because I think reading Wilson's adaptation before a lot of this really, and which is crazy because it's like you read that and you're like, oh, this reads like a Christopher Nolan movie. Like when I was reading, I was like, oh, he's going to nail this. And then he refuses to, because even in her world, her first line is about, a complicated man. Holy shit, that's right up his fucking wheelhouse. That's what he loves fucking talking about. It's complicated men and their perceptions. And he, once again, only puts 1 foot in, couple toes in. He doesn't go the full way with it.
And it's half measures, man.
He's with the Calypso section also, like Nolan is so obsessed with memory, and I think he makes like one of the great flaws of the story and of the Calypso section is that he combines the Calypso story with the story of the Lotus Eaters, which he cut from the film. So he combines 2 stories, and that I think does a great disservice, because I think it makes Calypso seem like, okay, she's like this soft, like nurturing presence in some scenes, whereas like that's just, I don't think that works here. And she's like giving him this lotus flower to remember. Odysseus, I think that works though for Nolan, spinning it a little bit and making it feel more like he's having PTSD, he's blocked things out, he can't remember certain things, but I don't think it's right to make that a part of Calypso's section, because he's just not equipped to write this character well, to do this, this specific adaptation of her character, but also his flaws in writing women. He falls back on them here. It's just not, you would have to find a different way to do this. And I think he felt a bit overwhelmed by everything that's in the story and trying to put it all together, that's why that section just doesn't work for me.
But man, I'm telling you, the middle of this movie is when it is at its best, when it's, to Eric's point, like kind of almost Monty Python, where it's like, go onto this place, and then like this giant set piece,
run
and then
away.
These guys are run a fuck away, and it's but it's his most inventive. He gets to use a lot of the practical, like the stuff with the giants, the moving trees and everything. It's so,
when that kid screams,
I was like, holy shit.
All right, I got another thing. Ryan, you can finish, and then I got another thing.
All right, Jay. But those things are great, and I want to say one thing about when the one performance that I think was even better for me the second go round was John Leguizamo. And there's only 2 moments in this movie that actually get me emotional. One is the reuniting of Odysseus with his dog, because like that's just like, I mean, it's very on the nose, but it's just like, oh, that's just what a good boy.
It works.
You know what I mean? It works. It really does.
Yeah.
But when Emmaus has the pigs taken from him by the assassins, the suitor assassins or whatever those are, and he is having to kill his dogs, because they killed his dogs, he's having to burn them, and Odysseus tells him in disguise as the stranger that Odysseus is alive, and Leguizamo breaks down there. I felt that for him as a character and what he is, because this is a guy that has been nothing but loyal to the past regime, to that family, to the son, to everything there. And I felt not only Emmaus being used not only for his character, but he is the sort of the lens outside of the palace, outside of the people of Ithaca. And these people have been by these suitors just absolutely just discarded, have been afterthoughts, have been pillaged, have been plumaged, have been taken advantage of. And this man is like, I can't have any more heartbreak. This kid is gone that I have been entrusted to. These suitors have taken over. I can't even go and be by her side and take care of this family anymore. They're even questioning whether they even Penelope even remembers who he is, which that's a nice touch that Nolan has later with the bow of her handing that to Emmaus there. But I felt his pain, and I think Leguizamo's performance is so good in this movie. And for me, I felt the pain of Ithaca, and it's a little moment, but it really, really got me there. And I think that is it's taking Nolan's writing and having to put your own spin on it. And he understands that. And so like, there's little moments in this movie that click, but then there's broader moments that don't. And that's a real shame. Jay, you were going to say something?
Yeah, and there's plenty to reflect on that. I will knock out my other thought real quick, which relates to another one of my the Christopher Nolan films that I sort of push back on that many other people love, in Inception, where I'm like, you're the most stylistic and abstract you can get when thinking about dreams is a snowy mountain and an urban landscape. Like, that's what you got. And for this, it's like, you have everything at your fingertips with the Odyssey. You have the gods. You have they have limitless power, and these giants. What are they called? The Lastra, whatever they're called.
Gonians.
The Lastragonians. There, it's like your entire idea of what they are is just like big knights. I mean, in the story, they're obviously like really violent. They're cannibals. They're trying to do all these things. And I'm trying hard again not to be like, I wish he had made a different movie. But to me, in general, it's like you could have gone so much more abstract, and you get halfway there in a handful of scenes. But I wish just so badly he could have just gone a little further. And I think he has gone further in other movies. I think Oppenheimer is at times like experimental. I think this at no point feels experimental in any way when he has at his fingertips limitless opportunity for abstraction.
See,
he just never really tries that.
I disagree. I think the Cersei stuff is very experimental, and I think
it's horror.
Hades,
it's different than
the Hades stuff too. I think all
Hades
that
is
stuff
as close as it gets. Yes,
I think both of those sequences back to back show, and I also like when I still don't know how without CGI he did the whirlpool or like the
Charybdis.
Charybdis. I don't know how the fuck he did that. Like some of that stuff is like
but that's not abstract. I mean, it's an ocean. It's a whirlpool.
Yeah. No, I know, but it's still. But again,
it's impressive. I'm not saying it's not impressive, but it's not aesthetically thrilling.
I think on Hades, though, that was going into the movie.
I agree with that.
That was the scene I wanted to see the most, because I was like, how is Nolan going to do this? Like the river Styx, like all of that. How is he going to make those images come to life? And I think it is actually really inventive to make that feel like it is above ground and just in this like this darkness, like it's like I don't know, like almost like coffee grounds or in it feels so different than anything I could have imagined. And like instead of having these people come up from the water, like they're coming up from the earth,
from the soil.
And that's a different kind of image than what I think anyone familiar with, even Hercules, is familiar with, right? So that I think is so cool and makes it seem like it connects also with Odysseus's language of like having to bury people and burials being really important and
honoring the dead. Yeah.
Honoring the dead. And I mean, also, Richard from Sex and the City being the one who gives him the prophecy is great. Love
he's like
that.
He's like a human puddle. That was awesome.
Well, no, that's also the guy from Oppenheimer who doesn't want to have the vacation.
I'll always know him as Richard from Sex
I'll
and
always
the City.
know him as.
Oh my god!
Even when we were watching the film, My wife looked at me and she goes, "Is that the Oppenheimer guy that refused to bomb the one place because of the vacation?" I'm like,
Meanwhile, I'm just like, yeah, Samantha. That's her guy.
And to contradict myself slightly, that is the one sequence where I think it reaches that point that I wish the rest of the film was able to get.
So let me ask this for all of us, because we're all kind of making equal versions of the complaint that it doesn't go far enough, or it limits, gods and all of that. I mean, because he is so strict about the lack of CGI and doing things practically, I guess, doesn't it make sense to eliminate a lot of that to avoid having to create a very computer generated visual?
Yeah, but I mean, I think also, like, this is a man, like, when you talk about Inception, Jade talked about Inception. The whole Maul character is a vision of a man's version of his deceased wife. And so, like, that is more.
Sure, but I mean talking about like gods, like,
no, I know, but that's like what I'm saying.
His representation of Poseidon Zeus. Is a storm and a big wave.
Yeah,
right? As opposed to
Yes. And that's the thing. It's like, that's, to me, Maul as a character, even though I hate that character, and maybe it's just the way it's performed, and we stated that on that episode. That's more magical or inventive, I guess, because of that mind space, than any of the quote unquote mythology magic in this film. Like, everything is so grounded. It's that he kind of just, like, refused to even want to go that full way, or even acknowledge, like, he wants to use Zeus's law, but he doesn't want to actually use Zeus. Like,
Zeus's law.
And it's like,
take a drink every time that exactly. gets said.
And it's like, he's more worried
Don't
about.
They literally say, treat your neighbor like you want to be treated.
Yeah, like, love thy neighbor, essentially. Like, it's so weird, because it's just like, okay, but, like, you're basically just using modern religion as like as your basis for all this. You don't want to actually use the punishment of these gods in such a way. And what's one of the frustrating was a massive frustrating moment when they stab the Cyclops. Still very cool moment, love that. But when they're on the boat, they're all like, yeah, that's Poseidon's son. He kind of said that shit, when he was like, it's like, how the fuck can you know what he said? Half of us couldn't understand what he was saying there. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like that. It's a little. It's so many contrivances like that where it's just like, no, like, go all the way. Have a voice go into Odysseus's mind. It doesn't. And
well,
have
the exclusion of the gods too makes it required that you have a lot more exposition.
Well, it also makes you have a lot more also contextuality of the original text. Like you have to, like, understand the Odyssey, I think, more if in those characters that aren't there. Like, it's so weird. Like, it's like you want us to have all the mythology, but you don't want to have these people there. Like, it's so weird.
It to me feels like a movie. I looked this up after I watched the the film, because I was just like, I need to know. And is Christopher Nolan an atheist? Because it just, like, I personally don't feel like and, like, I obviously, like, don't believe in, like, these gods. That's a whole different thing altogether. But I don't think you get the sense that he is a person who, has much interest in mysticism, has much interest in, like, an actual physical conjuring of something, right? Mm-hmm. I think he's more interested in it as something that you doubt.
I think he's more interested in karma.
Well, that's part of it, I think, but I think he's really interested in your own personal journey of how you interpret those sorts of things. And I think it's very clear that it's like, he is able to show physical manifestations of the Cyclops, of Circe, right, of witchcraft. Speaking of, we need to talk about the Circe sequence. There's a lot of good stuff there, but the sirens, Scylla and Charybdis, he's able to show us these things. But when it comes to the gods and goddesses, I think he's much more interested in that as, like, an internal thing that, like, do I believe this or do I not? And for Odysseus, he is a doubter. right? And that's almost he's a skeptic. And I think that is actually that would have been a very radical take for the time in that society, in that story. But then what we've come to see is that he's having these, after all of this, right? After everything he's experienced, he's having visions of Athena. So Athena is working in a different way in Nolan's world. And I think by his own logic, that does work. It's just very different. And it made me think of, honestly, like when I read The Shining, and I love the book, but at the end of The Shining, that maze sequence that we think of and we know so well from the movie, in the book, there are hedge animals that come to life and go after them. And it's such a cool detail in the book that never would have worked in the movie. God, no, at the time, the technology. So it makes sense that Kubrick made a different choice. I don't think this is a Kubrick level film. However, I think that, sometimes you make a choice, and the choice that he made, I think, is right for his worldview that he is trying to put out there. So even though it's very different from like what I take away reading this story, which is I want more gods and goddesses, I want more sex, I want it to be loud and colorful and lush and to feel more like that story that I love. This is so the version that Nolan would make. And so that rule fits in, I think, with what he would be interested in.
Yeah, for sure. You want to talk about the Cersei sequence?
Yes. So my favorite part about the Cersei sequence is actually before we get to Samantha Morton, because I think it's very creepy. Those animals.
Yeah.
And how we see the animals. Like how we see like a tiger and a panther, and just like the way that they're shot is so different than anything I've seen in Nolan's filmography. It feels like something from a different director altogether. Almost it's very cool and different.
That is style.
Yeah. I was getting, if like you put it in black and white, I was like, oh, so Robert Eggers has entered the chat like a little bit, like if like the most
talk about someone who would have put the gods and goddesses in there.
I thought about the Northman a lot watching this movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
a movie that rocks and rolls.
I'm still kind of like in the middle on the Northman.
No, nobody's perfect.
Yeah, I know. But I think that when I watch the Cersei sequence both times, I am in awe of what he is trying to pull off with the practical effects there, with the sound design is really the second go round is what I really took in, because it's such a horror secret. And I know that everyone's like, oh, Nolan should make a horror movie, and it's such a stupid thing to bring up. But when I was watching, I was like, this is terrifying. And this is...
I like when they're eating. That's my favorite part of that
just like scene. Eating and the moment when she is like she pulls Hamish Patel's hair, and then she flicks the ear and it turns into the pig ear, and she's just molding this, and you can hear the crunch, and you can hear all the squealing and the crying and the anger, and it's so well done. That is the parts when you're like, oh, okay, so he did have a clear vision on these things, and how these very difficult, I would have said, to done practically ways of doing this from the poem would have been on screen, and he nails this section, in my opinion. And Samantha Morton actually just like nails his thesis better in this sequence when she's at the table with Matt Damon than probably the rest of the film. She's
really good.
She's pretty good, Jay. Is that what you're just gonna Samantha Morton in this movie?
She's one of the best performances in the movie.
Yeah. Eric, did you like the sequence?
Yeah, I loved it. I think it's absolutely incredible. I love that Morton is, giving two very different performances, two very different Cerseis. And it's funny because the one that she's giving when all the men are there, who are obviously going to be very susceptible and gullible very easily and quickly, is, scared and
frightened
and just giving them all this food, when she could have been much closer to how she is with Damon. But since he knows what's up, her response is just so she's so snarky and
she's so good,
passive aggressive, and because they each know what's really happening, so they're playing this little mind game with each other, which I absolutely loved. But I am truly obsessed with the pig transformations, because I don't think I've really seen or felt anything quite like that since probably the witches, when they're at their convention and they reveal themselves. It reminded me of that so much. And just, it's just so beautifully creepy and great. I just loved it. I loved it.
And also she gets to have one of the fun lines in the film where he asks her about, like, you turn your sister into that, and she's like, oh, our relationship's better like that. You know, it's she I think is the right tone of this movie. Where
Perfect
it should
delivery. Her tone is exactly right. Every
note of the movie.
Like this whole movie should have been tense, because this is also a journey, like a journey of terror and unknown, and in those unknown discoveries are true, you know, not to repeat myself, but terror and anxiety and unknown. And it feels like sometimes too much of Nolan's like, well, you guys know what's about to happen here, right? Like, and in this scene, I'm like, no, I didn't know what was going to happen. And even on the second go around, I was like, just still blown away by the wizardry of this whole sequence. And yet it's few and far in between for the rest of the film. So
can we talk about the final John Wick sequence?
Yeah,
I want to know what people. Does anybody like it?
I mean, it's very accurate to the.
I think
I like the lead up with Anne Hathaway with Penelope. I think
agree with
that works.
Were you sitting there telling her about his theory of what happened with the war?
Yeah,
I like Hobo Damon.
Yeah. I think all that stuff's pretty good.
And I love how she's actually. I really like the artistic choice to have her behind a screen for so much of it. I think that's great.
Yes.
I think that's a really cool touch.
Yes.
To keep
made me mad
to have that veil.
Ooh, I thought it was very effective.
I just wanted to see more Anne.
Yeah,
well,
that's why he's saying that, Eric. It's not because of a choice. It's like just unleash Anne on the film.
But that's I mean, yeah, that's
the point,
effective for that reason.
But I'll tell you what, my crowd loved both times. Loved this entire sequence.
Kind of,
my crowd loved it as well. There was
clapping,
applause and
cheering.
There was applause. Yes,
it was a big moment. You know, I mean, when he goes like, you know, what about me? And he does the bow, and then people are like, oh shit. And then poor Corey Hawkins gets it in the throat, which in the poem, it's actually Robert Pattinson. And that's
it was when they killed
Pattinson. That's a change, all right.
The big pop was.
Well, the whole thing with Antinomus and Sinon too is just like, that's all Nolan.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's actually, I actually like all that. Like, and I think
I do too.
Elliot Page's performance in Hades is great.
It's
On
really
the beach,
yeah,
not so much. But like the whole like make sure you make up some stuff if you want. Like that's like, no, we don't need that. Nope. But
that's just so Nolan.
It's so Nolan, but it's that humor again where it's like that doesn't need to be there, does it? You know, just the speech there alone. And I like I'm sorry, Sophia. Sorry, go ahead.
My favorite line though, where I laughed so hard when they're heading into like when he gets back to Ithaca and he is talking. I think it's Eumaeus who's like bringing vengeance, and he goes bringing it all.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Kind of like
that's very Amelia Perez.
John Wick, yeah.
All right.
But no, I think that sequence there you're talking about, Jay, on the page, like it's in the original story, but like in this, it's played off like that, like he can't be touched at this point. And it also,
I just don't think it's executed very well.
I don't think it's executed very well. I also think that because like all the action in this movie, we've seen at such a wide lens and for such a far. And this is the first time I really think a lot of the action is so close up, you know, and so contained, because even in Troy, it's, you're in this whole space, you're in this whole city, when they're battling the giants, when even inside the cave it feels bigger than that because of the size of the Cyclops. And in this it feels so tight, and it's the Batman problem. It's that like he can shoot vast giant set pieces, but man, if it gets tight and intimate, it becomes such a clunky mess that we kind of blamed Wally Pfister for and said he got away from with
good
Hoyte.
At it in Tenet, though.
Yeah. I mean, well, Tenet still has a lot of those.
I thought that was kind of a turning point. And no, I mean, it has some huge ones, but I think about the fight
in the kitchen.
The kitchen is good. I was thinking about what's the airport thing called?
Oh, like the John David Washington, the inverted fight?
Yeah, the inverted fight at the Freeport.
Yeah, the Freeport.
Yeah, okay. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, but that's only
maybe
maybe
the backwards fighting distracts you from the traditional shortcongings of some of the But
I mean, it's like Damon really versus like 100 guys in this room. Like,
I mean, he's literally surrounded by like 15 guys at one point, and it's like just stab. I don't want to nitpick, but just like stab him. I mean, what are you?
This is my least favorite like movie fight thing is when one person is fighting 100 people one at a time. I think it's just so goddamn annoying.
Eric, what the fuck are you talking about? You're in the Matrix Reloaded and Neo fights like 100 Agent Smiths. What the hell are you talking about? That's
sci-fi. I don't care. That was great.
What is this if not sci-fi?
I'll say this.
Fantasy.
Yeah, fantasy.
After, towards the end of it, they do finally like, hey, catch on. Let's all stab him at once.
I like him when he's just like with one.
And they have him circled, which then calls back to the land of the giants when all the guys run into the forest and then find themselves trapped in that cage. So I liked that. I liked that the sort of call back to that.
Yeah.
But generally, it's just my least favorite like thing to do, and it just felt so weird here.
Holland does not pull off the fight upstairs either.
No.
Oh my God. He's
Logan
so
Marshall Green should have killed the shit out of him.
Ineffectual. Almost all the way to the end. He learned nothing.
I like Logan Marshall Green.
He has no like real path.
Dad.
Dad.
It's so good.
And it's like, fuck off. Get out of here. I just the thing about also the first 15 minutes is like he literally is like pressing the dad button like 4 or 5 times in the opening 30 minutes. He's like, my dad. And he's trying to, it feels like him and Nolan are trying to beat it over the head of
Is your
stuff.
problem that they're using the word dad or just the emphasis of, what do y'all think of the use
I don't
of the
have
word
a problem with, I don't have a problem with the
this
use
film?
of it.
Nothing?
It is the repetitive use early on. And it feels like it's like all the press has been about this. And then you see the film and you're like, we really want you to understand that this is his dad. And then he kind of switches a couple times to father. And it's like, well, which one is it, buddy?
It's basically like Meghan McCain on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's what he started sounding like. Well, my dad is
my
this.
dad. And you're just like, holy shit.
It's like a Rada the Hutt.
Wow. I don't have any issues with the word dad. It's really just that when he drops the sword and says dad, I thought was very funny. I thought that was very funny. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like that one's okay because like it kind of makes sense, I guess, because like yelling out "Father," would be so weird in that moment. But
is there another movie that kind of the thing that I kept thinking about was like, almost, if you're gonna do this, just do what Baz Luhrmann did with Romeo and Juliet.
Go all the way.
That's the premier adaptation for me. Like it's always. I mean, aside from like. Because
again,
the reason I say that is because
but that's a visual extremist.
Romeo and Juliet is as well known, right, as the Odyssey. Like it's that level of story. So if you're going to adapt a story that is that well known, I prefer the
maximalism.
Yeah. I like the maximalism.
And
this just but also just like being committed to the choice you make is
but he is kind of but Sophia,
he had one foot in, one foot out with a lot of the stuff in this.
But that's from a style standpoint. Baz Luhrmann is 100% in there, and I do think stylistically Nolan is 100% in here. Yeah. And based off of his screenwriting problems that people have mentioned over the years, he is 100%. Like you said, this is a great Christopher Nolan film.
I think it is.
In a lot of ways, it is him at his honest self.
I think that, and what I'm saying there is, I just like wish he would have. I don't know. There are just certain things where I'm like, you're so close to doing something different and cool. I want more of that. Like I think being teased with the Hades sequence or like how the Cersei scene feels. Like those are things where I just wanted the entire movie, I think, to feel a bit more like that.
I do think the sacking of Troy is really great. I mean,
I
like
do too.
that
I have a note on that actually.
The first one or the second one?
I think both
Or
are
the
really
third one.
I think all
Or
of
the
them are
third one.
really effective. Like I think the siege into through the horse, which we haven't talked about the fucking horse.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
how
guess what? He did that in Dunkirk already, and it was better.
Is that a boy horse or a girl horse?
I don't know. Was there anything you could really take away from that with the popcorn bucket, Sophia?
I mean,
I think it's a girl horse.
It's a girl from the
horse.
popcorn bucket.
Otherwise, they'd have to have somebody hiding in the
No one really
It's a
gets.
girl.
you grab the popcorn from the womb.
You know, I've never really
is
thought
what you
about it
do.
until this movie,
Pops
but
open, yeah.
but Nolan gives
It's a C-section
Barenthal
of popcorn.
a line. God damn it! Nolan gives
It is.
Barenthal a line about how it felt inside the horse, and just like the days they spend in there waiting for these guys to get there, and just the conditions inside. Let's just
Also
say
cool. Never
And
thought of that in that way before.
never thought of really that, but I did kind of look at my wife after this and go,
it's a pretty small horse.
I mean, it is pretty. I mean, well, it's
That was
Certainly
actually
smaller.
great.
Traditionally, yeah, it's like always on wheels and it's massive.
It's so
Yeah.
massive, and you can have a full army in there. It's like
and it's like upright perfectly. It
It's like
doesn't
20
have
guys.
angle.
You know what I mean?
They're
And
going,
so-
they're going stealth. I like when they're
Mhm.
falling down silently out of the horse. I like that.
But also like too, like, I mean, how did the Trojans not smell that smell coming from that horse like a mile away? Like, like
Everything smelled back then.
I'm
It
just
had to be
saying, like,
horrible.
when, like, and my wife was just like, oh, well,
All
they're
right,
by the
I'm-
sea.
I'm
And I'm
pulling
like,
the
they're
nitpick
inside.
yellow card right now.
They're
I'm pulling
inside
the
there.
nitpick
They're not
yellow
going to
card.
smell that or anything. Also, especially when they stab it. Because, like, there's going to be a smell coming from that, just all those guys in there.
I love though when Odysseus reaches the sword and wipes
And
the
he
blood off quickly.
wipes the blood off.
Yep.
That
It's-
is good. Yeah,
it's a
that's
good-
Yeah.
it's-
There's some good
it's-
details there. There's a specificity there that a lot of the rest of the movie lacks.
Yeah. That whole scene, but then like them, like having like the little, I loved when he kicks open the C-section horse. And
No, that's the popcorn bucket.
it's the same here. He has to kick it open,
No,
right? In the
but
same
it doesn't-
spot.
But the actual horse doesn't open like
No, but that's
Whatever.
but that's where the door is at.
I guess it
on
sort
the
of
popcorn
does.
bucket, right? Sophia, like it's
Yeah.
it's right where at the belly, and
It
then
is.
they use like rope so that it doesn't fall to the ground, so it doesn't make this loud
Yeah, I like
noise.
that.
Like
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
good.
that's probably the smartest thing about that fucking.
I think every
They're
detail
going
of,
super stealth mode.
of
Yeah,
the
it's
Trojan
great.
horse was impeccable here.
Impeccable,
Every choice
Mhm.
was absolutely fantastic. Which, and then other sequences that we mentioned are
Which he's
too,
been thinking about
which-
for 20 years.
which I think is the reason why, we're struggling with so much of the rest of the film is that you can see the sauce is there in
Yeah.
these really important sequences. Everything else just has
It's bad pasta.
it's sauceless.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I
the.
don't know if I'd go that far.
All right, I'm being extreme, but like
Yeah.
No,
when
I know what you mean.
when the highs are really high,
They're so high, man.
everything else just starts
Well,
to
because
feel
he-
like the same.
He was supposed to make. He was at one time attached to make Troy, the Brad Pitt film, and he said that one of the things he said that he couldn't figure out at the time was how to do the horse, because they were going to incorporate, because Benioff had put that inside the screenplay.
Wolfgang Peterson. Boy, did he master it.
Well, he stepped away from the project, Jay, and Wolfgang Peterson was also adapting a Batman film, and he couldn't crack that. So they kind of like
They swapped.
swapped, as well as also like he was.
Things happen for a reason.
It all
That was
happened
the
for a
that was
reason.
the Gladiator runoff era.
Yeah, that was like the effects of that film and Ridley Scott making Kingdom of Heaven and all that stuff there too. So, but
Alexander.
Hey,
Alexander,
I
wow.
love Alexander.
I've never seen Alexander. I need to watch it.
Eric. Which cut of Alexander do you like? Because there's
Uncut.
19,000 uncut. Hello, there you go.
When it comes to old Colin, was
Just
that
like
Colin? Would Colin remember making Alexander? Like he doesn't remember making Miami Vice?
I mean, probably so. I mean, but then that means he forget working with Jared Leto, where they're lovers.
I mean, I'd want to do that too, but
I mean, yeah, that's fair. Anything else you guys want to mention about the Odyssey? We're kind of getting towards the end here.
I feel like let's say something you like about it before we get out of here.
Well, why don't you? Because you've been Mr. Negative the whole time.
Well, I know I like it the least of all of us. What do I like about this movie?
I like
I've said plenty of stuff I like. The Hades sequence I think is like top tier.
No, you already said that. You gotta say something else.
I'll see this year. I know. I like Benny Safdie's armor. How about that? I think that was a good look.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. He kind of like Darth Vadering into the walls of Troy there a little bit.
Yeah, something like that.
I like the build of him, and I think he's. But then they take.
It's a pretty hilarious decision to make Benny Safdie that character. I like that decision.
Hey Jay, since you're on brand here, what do you think of the controversies around this film?
Oh boy, let me tell you.
You think they're justified?
I think that is truly. That's why I feel worst about not liking this movie. Is I feel like I'll get lumped in with the worst people in America.
Yeah, you're going to be lumped in with fucking Ben Shapiro and all the other loans.
Yeah.
The Daily Awards website.
No, but I don't like it for other reasons.
Yeah,
there's other stuff to not like about it. It's not even worth talking about.
I mean, you don't hate it. I mean, you actually saw the film. Some of those fucking people didn't even see the film.
That's true.
But a lot of people
had a conversation at lunch yesterday with some people who were like, "Isn't that movie really like controversial?" I'm like,
"No, it's not. It's a Christopher.
It's controversial
Nolan
because
movie.
There's a handful of people who aren't white in the Odyssey for about one, who cares? Two, they're in the movie for 12 minutes."
No, not even that. Elliot Page is in it for like 5.5 minutes, and Lupita's in it for 3.5 minutes.
Lupita is in it hardly at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but most importantly is point one: who cares?
Yeah.
These are completely fictional characters, and even if they weren't, it's adaptation. Do what you want.
Yeah, do what you want.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, thank you
really
for setting me up to. Thank God Josh isn't here.
Yeah, Josh would have just been like,
one thing I love that we haven't really touched on. I think Himesh Patel is fantastic.
I was just gonna say this.
Yes. That's where I was just gonna go next.
All the men are great with.
He is my guy too. Yeah. I'm buying all the Himesh Patel stock. That guy just has it.
Are you gonna rebuy stock into Yesterday?
He's not the problem with Yesterday.
Yeah, that's Danny Boyle. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's boomer. That's boomers. Is the problem with Yesterday.
That's correct. But he's so good in Tenet, and he's so good in this film.
He's so good in Tenet.
He should be a guy that Nolan uses a couple. I hope
times. Make him the lead of your next movie.
Ooh,
do it.
Make Robert Pattinson the lead of the next film, please.
Sure,
that would be what I'd like.
Tom Holland, just do it.
No. Well, no, I mean, like he's given Pattinson the kind of the Matt Damon special. He's given him like the 2 supporting roles, like so it feels right that
completely opposite characters, which I think is kind of cool.
Which I agree, and so like it only makes sense for Pattinson to be like the next guy to get the glow up. I
would love that, but does Pattinson want to be a traditional lead in anything other than Batman, though? Even though he's not a traditional lead of Batman.
I mean, him and Nolan are like neighbors. They're like really good friends. So they, Nolan was talking about
how him and Travis Scott, Nolan and Travis Scott, they email each other all the time.
No, they don't, because Nolan doesn't email. But
well, whatever. The Travis Scott
beauty of
thing,
having assistants.
Yeah. There is a part of me with the Travis Scott thing where he's stupid. Like a teacher. Gather around. Shakespeare, in many ways, was kind of the first rapper. And it's like, all right.
Oh, you mean like if you were like a teacher and you were like trying to talk about your thoughts on this film, and you were just like,
what is rap? What is contemporary oral?
This is what Nolan's saying about the film, and what does it really all mean?
I feel like Jay is like just like a half a second away from
like a hacky sack reference
from Warren Beatty and Bulworth, like just so close. You're almost there, Jay.
Odyssey. That movie's about Odysseus,
Elections coming up. Everybody vote. But if you don't vote.
Okay, well.
I don't know.
So much for that.
That's a good
War is bad. Yeah. That's done by man.
War is bad. Thoughts. And we need to kind of reflect on that.
Yeah.
I don't think this movie has a tremendous amount to say about the modern day, which a lot of people are saying it does. I think that just sort of coincides with whatever. But I don't think it has.
I mean, there's just
much insight into what is going on in the world.
No, it's just a universal thought.
Not that it has to, but I just disagree with that take that it seems like a lot of people
more of
have.
like I think it's more of like a mirror, but it's not maybe its intention. Right. I don't know.
Yeah, War is Bad is like number 10 on the
complaints
issues of this movie. Intentions. That isn't even it doesn't even really.
No, but
register.
I think that's the through line that he wants to connect from Oppenheimer to this, as much as
cost of violence. I mean,
the cost of violence,
as old as time. Cost of violence, and I don't think this is a terribly. I just watched History of Violence, the Cronenberg movie. That's a movie where I'm like, God, I never want to punch anybody ever again.
That movie.
This is a movie where I'm like, this is a cost of violence story that ends with, and again, he's beholden to a certain extent to the original text, but it's like, it ends with the John Wick sequence. I don't know what you want me to do with a cost of violence story that ends with this cathartic.
I mean, that's what the audience,
flood of violence. That's what I'm saying. But, he's trying to turn it into a cost of violence story, which the original text is not. So you have to find a way to bridge that gap. And he does not, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, he does he wants
to have his cake and
I wanted to ask
too.
you, I mean, the last two books of the Odyssey are always sort of left for interpretation. Cause in that ending, it's really like Ithaca is mad at him for his return, actually, because he does all this violence and kills essentially the future of Ithaca from all these suitors and a lot of their sons.
So it's a Vietnam story.
A little bit. Like it's like coming back.
He comes back home, and it's Born in the USA from Bruce Springsteen.
Sure, and Travis Scott's
very patriotic song, as we all know.
As we all know,
as we all have really ever, and Jeremy Allen White actually sings it at the end of this movie. It's really great, but no, it's that like his version of that is that like because of the cost of all this war, he puts himself in self-exile for what happened in the Trojan War, and that in order for there to be a possibility of a better era with good values, it has to eliminate the people that opened up Pandora's box. Like the ending is a bit clunky, and what it's trying to say, like when he's sticking the landing there at the end of like, yeah, we'll all be forgotten about, but like we left Telemachus here to be the better of all of us. It's and so when you mentioned one battle, it's like
this is a lot of responsibility for me.
We have another revolutionary along the way, and you're in a long run of that. It feels a little bit like in concert with that, but not as clear because of the overall message that he's going with. I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
I think that there are a lot of differences between the ending here and the ending of the story. Like Laertes, his father, is like mentioned in passing as a lie about Telemachus going to visit his grandfather, and he's a very crucial part of the end. I think the big change though really is that like, and why it's, I don't know, like I left the movie I think on a high, but I also just don't totally understand, I guess, like it feels like it feels cathartic right at heart, but the language doesn't match that. The language about like
Correct.
Everyone will forget our mistakes, like history is going to repeat itself. It doesn't match the feeling I had when I saw them soaring off into the sunset.
See you later. Gonna go live my best life on the ocean with Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, right. And I don't think it makes sense for Telemachus is not ready to rule. So
it's such a dark
have fun storming the castle
to me, right?
It's
yeah. I think that so, and I think that in order for if you want the ending to feel more like the poem, the gods have to be present.
Yeah,
because Athena is crucial to making sure that happens and that there is peace. Like she is the linchpin to all of that, and she's not really there.
She's also such a little stinker in the story. What a stinker!
I mean, honestly, if he wanted to make a bold choice, I feel like just kill Odysseus. Just kill him.
I thought he was going to do at first.
And kill him and kill the suitors, and then let it live out in a modern world where Anne Hathaway is the only choice left.
Mm-hmm.
I think he just wanted him to be more of a drama queen, because he kind of is. Odysseus is a bit of a little drama queen.
He is.
He's like,
But
it's all my fault.
But what I think this actually, like where I think this, I want to write something about this later in the year when Minotaur comes out, because I think that these two films are actually in conversation with each other in a really interesting way. I just think that what Zvyagintsev does is far more modern and complex and like really leaves you with this like sickening feeling. And that movie is rooted in mythology. It's not rooted in the Odyssey, it's rooted in the story of the Minotaur, which is, the Minotaur's mother is Circe's sister. But I think that like what that film does is much sharper and more specific about it's not just a cost of violence story. It's more of that kind of cost of hubris and power, and it thinks about it, I think, in a much more specific and contemporary way and a bleak way that Nolan would not do. But I thought he might go there a little bit. I really did. But
because he kind of goes there with his last film. And then when we talked about that last week, where it's like he ends on a bit of like a punch in the gut, where it's like, yeah, I think we destroyed the world and I fucked it all up and I shouldn't have. And I got caught up in scientific discovery and everything. And my burden is the potato salad and being celebrated for the rest of my life for destroying everything. But like this ends on like a Dark Knight Rises ending of like, where I don't know, where everything is like super, super like nice at the end of all of this.
Well, the great victory of Oppenheimer is when he's getting the medal, and it's like, this is
and Einstein's talking about how
it's like you are being thrown into a fire, you are forgotten and discarded.
Exactly.
Whereas in this, it's like, God, it's gonna be so awesome being married to Anne Hathaway for the rest of my life.
Well, I think the issue with Nolan too that I have is he doesn't like ambiguity. He has to punctuate things. So even like with Oppenheimer, like I like that ending, but my criticism of it always was I don't think Cillian Murphy needed to say, I think we did. We know that. Like we know he's had that realization. I don't think you need to like hammer it home again. And I think that's what he does
that Ludwig score in that moment. I'm like,
oh, it's great.
Good.
Oh, it's great.
I haven't even talked about that in this movie.
My other last thing I was going to say about connecting it to Oppenheimer quickly is that I'm glad that the people who complained about not seeing the violence in Oppenheimer get to see it here.
Hooray.
Yeah, because
Spike Lee is going to love this.
Because
he was at the premiere
when the person is actually in
Cameron's going to love
in the
this.
Battle, like when the person is actually there. It's another perspective.
Yeah, we're beheading Zendaya. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like.
So I'm glad they get that now.
Yeah,
that is such a strike to chop off the head of a marble statue with the sword. That takes a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of strength. You got to have to do that. No,
good for him.
It's good imagery. If of anything,
it is.
Erik,
that was like the OG poster, right? It was just the statue.
The OG. Exactly. It was on the year in advance tickets. Erik, you got anything last thing you want to mention?
Oh, I don't know. Sophia mentioned Minotaur. Now I'm just thinking about the end of Minotaur and how fucking incredible that is. And I can't wait to see it again. So that'll actually be an interesting contrast comparison piece and idea. I'd like to see this again. I'm not going to watch it that many more times, but
yeah,
I do want to see it again, and maybe in a different environment. Sometimes, a theater absolutely packed and full, and mine was every seat was full, isn't always the best experience. Sometimes it's wonderful to be a part of a collective feeling while you're watching something. I think I might want to rewatch Solo though, and just not have the distraction of anyone or anything.
Yeah. Jay?
Yeah, man.
We are at the end of the series. So it's only right, Jay, that we do our updated Nolan rankings.
The Nolan rankings, yeah.
And we can get Sophia and Erik to give their thoughts on our rankings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jay,
or tell us your favorites.
Or tell us your favorites as well. I mean, Erik kind of mentioned Memento as his favorite. Mm-hmm. Sophia, you can totally say yours as we do these. Jay, you want to go first?
I will go first. I'm happy to do so. So we're 13 movies. So
yes, sir.
My number 13, almost by default, it's almost rude to it, but I am going to go following 13. It's sort of like, it is effective, but it lacks the veracity of the highs of every other Nolan movie. My number 12 is The Odyssey, for all the reasons that we just talked about. My number 11 is The Dark Knight Rises because it has that opening sequence, which absolutely rocks the house. My number 10, people are going to be mad about this one, Interstellar, a movie I just don't think is terribly effective. Number 9, Insomnia. My number 8, another one people are going to be mad about, Inception, a nice 3 out of 5 for that bad boy. My number 7 is Batman Begins, 6, Memento, and then we get into, although that's really, Memento is where the real bangers start. So 6, I have Memento, 5, I have The Dark Knight, 4, The Prestige, 3, Tenet, 2, and this was a flip after these most recent watches. My number 2 is Oppenheimer, and my number 1 is Dunkirk. I think Dunkirk is the most perfect movie he has ever made. I wouldn't change a thing about that movie. So that's my ranking.
Okay. My number 13, just like Jay's, is Following. My number 12 is Insomnia. My number 11 is The Dark Knight Rises. My number 10 is Inception. My number 9 is The Odyssey, the film we just talked about. My number 8 is Batman Begins. My number 7, the biggest jump, is Memento. I actually like that film now. Number 6 is Interstellar. My number 5 is where the 5-star films start coming into play. My number 5 is Tenet. My number 4 is The Dark Knight. My number 3 is Dunkirk. My number 2 is The Prestige. And my number 1 is Oppenheimer. Thoughts, guys? Erik, Sophia, thoughts?
I'm much closer to Jay in my ranking.
Sophia?
The controversial dislikes you align with me on, I feel like, based on your reactions of.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm that way with Inception.
Yeah, Inception's just hasn't aged well. And Tenet existing, I like I said, Tenet is Inception for grown-ups. You know,
when Robert Pattinson shakes the sugar packet in Tenet. Very important person territory.
How was his was his costume too long for you?
I forgot to talk about his costume. He has really beautiful knees. He has great knees. But yeah, too long. Need to be shorter.
Erik,
I got been up for it too.
Erik, I got a question for you in the Cersei scene. In the sequence there, you know, all the guys are eating the meat, but yet Matt Damon's he's hunting a beefcake in that scene, isn't he? Because when that guy turns from that deer into the naked guy, what was Nolan doing there? Because he's always finding hot guys, but like, oh, good Lord, that extra.
I don't know. I was
seeing that in IMAX.
Seeing that in IMAX was great. I wanted to pull out a fork and have a piece of cake.
There you go. Jay, what did you think about that guy's tush?
Look, I'm happy for him. And I'm happy for us.
Good.
Nolan has great taste in men. I've always thought that.
He does.
He was just like chilling in the grass. I don't know. He looked like he was having a really good time to me.
How long do you think he was just...
Besides being dead.
How many takes do you think they did that? Or Matt Damon's just coming up on ass right there, just like looking at it.
I think he
should have been Ben Affleck.
We got it.
Yeah. You think he did it in Eastwood?
Mm-hmm.
We got it. Move along. Nothing to see here.
I'm trying to have lunch.
Jay,
what's your favorite Nolan, Sophia?
Honestly, you know, it is Oppenheimer, but Dunkirk. You saying Dunkirk? I love that movie.
So good.
I really do.
It's my 3.
Dunkirk's the movie that
might be my top one too. I don't know. It's hard.
I love Prestige.
Great. Should we? I just want to briefly, instead of doing the what did this win, what will this get nominated for? Just picture, director, lead actor.
That's what I was gonna. Well, you just undercut everything.
Oh, okay.
Here,
all right. Okay.
Because you don't know how to.
You were gonna move on.
Okay. Let me do that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's kind of rude. I was like saying that we usually at this point we would talk about the things that should get nominated for, but I mean this could be a segment where Jay, you yourself can, with Erik, Sophia, and myself here, you can predict what you think the Odyssey is going to land nomination wise.
Okay, so anybody butt in when you think I'm saying something that will not be true.
Okay.
Picture, director, Damon for lead. Morton's going to get in for supporting actress.
No.
You don't think so?
I think it's going to be Hathaway.
No.
I think it's possible. Somebody will get in for supporting actress. Do we think that?
Yeah.
Will
Maybe.
anybody get in for supporting actor? Just by
I don't think so.
I kind of don't think so, but just by way of it being a juggernaut.
I think somebody will. Yeah.
I think, I mean, I think that this is a way bigger movie than like we are based on how we're reacting.
Oh yeah.
Throw that
we gotta
aside.
we gotta take
else,
us out of it. And I think that this is
so we'll say supporting actor is like 49-51. We think
regional critics groups will try to make John Leguizamo happen.
Ooh,
there's
true.
a couple of people that are going to try and make John Leguizamo.
I do think even though we all don't like that performance, I think Tom Holland will get recognized by some critics groups because they do like him. He's going to campaign his ass off for
He'll get in if they want to have him at their party with Zendaya.
Well,
so
that's part of all of it. I do think that the way in which they marketed the Oppenheimer trio of Emily Blunt, Robert Downey Jr., and Cillian Murphy, I think they'll do the same with Holland, Hathaway, and Damon. And I think that could be
Is Holland the one they do it with?
I think so.
I guess
Robert Pattinson doesn't want to be there.
No, Pattinson's also got like 900 projects.
Yeah.
But
he's
Sophia's right.
Running for the other one.
Sophia's right. Leguizamo could have
time. Yeah.
Leguizamo could have like not to be mean to him in this way, but it could be like a Delroy Lindo kind of thing.
Well, he's great. I mean, he's great in the movie.
Where it's like a veteran actor, that's all over the scene that finally gets his due to get nominated.
You've already tainted this so much.
I think also people on the rewatches like myself will appreciate him, and I think he's going to do a lot of interviews throughout the year. Yeah.
Adapted screenplay.
Yeah, that's going to get in.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. It's gonna get score.
Yeah, it might win again.
Will it get original song?
I hope so.
I think it could.
It could.
That one's
I'm gonna put it in. 50, I'm gonna lock it in as a prediction.
Okay. All right.
Casting, it'll get sound, it'll get
easily.
Production design, cinematography, makeup and hairstyling, costume design, editing. So that is
cinematography.
Do you think it'll get nominated for all of those?
I think it has a very, very, very high chance of breaking the record.
That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I think it could get 16, 17 nominations. I think
it all comes down to the actors.
It comes down to the actors and the song. It comes down
10,
to the
11,
actors
12. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
But no one at this point last year was thinking that Wunmi Mosaku or Michael B. Jordan, even Delroy Lindo. People weren't predicting them.
I think 15 is the floor.
Yeah. And I think 14, 15 on a bad day, 16, 17 on the best day. I think that this film is,
17 is that?
This is his highest grossing film he's ever had. It's one of his highest it's higher on the ratings on Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes than Oppenheimer was. People love this one more. Yeah. We don't, but people do.
It's his biggest.
And I think we're looking at this being the big film to beat.
Yeah.
Like of the epics. I'm not talking
I guess.
I'm not like talking the overall film, but I think
it's a weird Oscar year.
I think that this is the blockbuster representation of the winning side of things. Like it's either this or something
13.
else.
I think this will get 13.
At least. I mean, one thing Sinners did was literally max out every single technical category, but this can't do that because it's not going to get visual effects.
4.
Will it not?
5.
It will not.
It'll get makeup though.
It should get makeup, yeah.
It will get easily makeup and hairstyling
for the piggies.
For the piggy scene alone.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Those piggies are so great.
The floor is 13 and the ceiling is probably 16.
Yeah.
It just depends on song and
maybe
casting. I mean, what if it got both Morton and Hathaway? That could happen.
I think Hathaway is in.
Yeah, I think she is. She's had a massive year too. And this is going to be her This is going to be the one where they're like, that's the one we nominate her for. She could even win.
I think the floor is 13.
Yeah. It's like her and Penelope Cruz. They're going to go back and forth with each other.
It might not go
Anne
any
Hathaway
higher than
as
13.
Penelope versus Penelope.
There you go. So, but anyway, Jay, good
It's gonna get a lot
analysis.
of Oscar
It's
nominations.
going to get a lot of Oscar nominations. We're going to be talking about it all year long.
Is it the weather? Lick your finger, put it up to the sky. Weather check. Oscar pick right now. Best picture. Who are you going with, Sophia?
The Odyssey.
Eric.
I don't do that.
Oh my God!
I'm not picking a winner.
No, I'm gonna wait till we do our editor pod because that's what I did last year.
Yeah, we're doing that next week. So I'll reveal more.
But then. I think the Odyssey is very, very strong. Like it's in top 2 or 3 for me.
Yeah, it's a placeholder.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a placeholder. I think it's a legit winner. Like
maybe
it's a winner contender. Like the others,
so.
Like after seeing the trailer for Digger and Dune, I'm even more convinced on that shit. For just at least the bigger films. But I will wait as well. Jay, do you have a pick? Are you gonna pencil this in?
Man, I've gotten it right 2 years in a row.
Oh my God! Don't even start. You couldn't. Shut the fuck up.
Oh,
you mean you want to go back to the tail of the tape last year when we did
3
one
years in a
after
row.
another?
As soon as one battle came out, I said it's going to win.
Yeah, but you weren't like us where you were like, I don't know if that's going to happen.
As soon as
that movie looks pretty abrasive. That's not going to win.
You did say that.
When it came out, I said it was going to win. So what
I'll go back, Sophia, go back to that tape of that episode when
did One Battle come out last year? What month?
September, the end of September.
Okay, so I had it in September. I think that's fair. And I had a Nora from like February.
You did stay with a Nora. No, you did not have a Nora from February. Don't start that shit. Yeah, maybe February, a month before it won.
So in July. So this is before the movie came out, but a year ago at this point, you said movie looks bizarre and abrasive, which rules, but generally not the type of movie to clean up. And Ryan said, Sophia's gonna Thanos snap you, dude.
Wow, that is some fast acting receipts right there.
What a dynamic we have. I said when it came out. I don't
have that receipt right now, but
I'm going to do
You're going to say this?
I for some reason just don't feel like they're going to give it to him this quickly.
Do you think not film but director?
No, it's not going to be a split.
It has this I think honestly is the closest year we could get to a split.
If he hadn't nope.
I think this is going to be a very Saving Private Ryan, Shakespeare in Love type of year. Where we get a legitimate technical achievement as a director, and another film wins Best Picture. I truly believe that.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Honestly, it feels kind of stupid right now to predict anything other than the Odyssey. But I'm gonna go.
Yeah, it does.
World changes though in this time period.
I'm going out on a limb.
Okay.
Wild Horse 9. Let's do it.
Oh my God.
Oh well, that's not going to happen.
Which I heard is more like the
Seven Psychopaths
than anything else.
Yeah.
Let's go. You know what? The one that I've kind of been like maybe is The Debut. I'm gonna go with The Debut.
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
All right. Debut. If we're doing it, then my pick is La Bola Negra.
There you go,
Sophia.
I guess I'll just stick with the Odyssey.
Yeah,
I'm going
chalk.
I'm going Fjord.
Okay.
I think that's the type of film that could beat a movie like this. That is the type of conversation piece, well-written film with Hollywood actors that could beat a film like this.
You don't think The Social Reckoning?
Buddy, I was just about to say that. And then I thought, fuck no. So
what about those sheep though?
Oh man, if the sheep won.
Listen, Joyce Carol is tweeting about Sheep Detectives today.
That should be in the conversation.
Sheep Detectives, that was a film where I'm like, man, I'm so thankful that Christopher Nolan still does practical effects because I just could not get over the hurdle with Sheep Detectives. I couldn't get over the Uncanny Valley. The Uncanny Valley was I don't think it's Uncanny Valley for me.
No, I don't think it is at all. I think it looks really good.
I thought it was just thought it was so fucking
I don't know
sweet.
what to tell you.
Did you have that problem with Paddington? Did you have that problem with Paddington?
No, because Paddington was like he wore a little jacket.
Okay.
You know, like those sheep are just supposed to be sheep. Paddington is a little cute little bear who wears a hat and a jacket.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode of Director Watch on that fucking wild note. Erik, I know you got to head out of here, so can you tell everybody where they can find you and all your work on the internet, and give the audience a recommendation of the week? Something
my
that's
God.
new or old, or I mean, this is an easy recommendation of the week for you. Honestly, this should be right now, but
It could be, you could say, I like brunch. I recommend brunch.
That would be pretty stereotypical of me to say that, and you suggesting it.
You know what?
Is not
Hand
really
up. I'm gonna put
allyship.
myself in woke jail for that one.
Yeah, I'm absolutely. Yes, you can find everything I do at awardswatch.com, socials at awardswatch Erik mostly, or just awardswatch. And I have to pick something to.
yeah, you've been on Director Watch plenty of times before.
You don't
know
have
that
to. You can say I recommend going outside and taking a walk.
Yeah, doesn't it? I mean, you
Oh,
can
actually, I do recommend that because I've been doing that a lot more, even though it's like 100 degrees.
you
here.
can
But
you can
Nice.
you can also
it's been
recommend
very cool.
an album, a novel.
Oh my God. Yes. Stream Confessions too.
There you go. Just wanted him to say that in front of Jay. Sophia.
Thank you guys for having me. You can find me on Twitter at Sophia_Sim, Letterboxd, Blue Sky at Sophia Sim. My recommendation of the week, if you like ocean set adventures with people with, dubious, questionable moral character, I highly recommend the latest season of Below Deck Med on Bravo. It is excellent.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there is someone on it who is a nightmare and a half, and it has just been so fun to watch. So recommend that. Stream Confessions too while you're going on a power walk.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jay.
Letterboxd J Ledbetter, Twitter at Mr. J Ledbetter, anything I'm writing over at the great website awardswatch.com. My recommendation of the week is this is a weird one, and one that I feel like not many people have seen. It is a classic Hulu original, and a movie that will be comedic cilantro for so many, but is really in my strike zone. Never Change is a film that I had a very good time with. It has a bunch of actors that I really love. It is about a high school that went through, they had a traumatic tornado during many of these people's senior years, and they withdraw their diplomas and they have to go back to high school for a series of weeks so that they can re-graduate, basically. It is bizarre. It is kind of in the vein of I Think You Should Leave or something like that, like sort of along that sensibility. Half the people that I recommend it to will hate it, and half of them will be like, this is phenomenal. So check that one out if you want something that is unique and, in my opinion, very, very funny.
Love it. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Blue Sky at Ryan McQuade 77. You can find my work here at awardswatch.com. If you like podcasts, well, usually here on Mondays you listen to the main show, but on Thursday this week, Jay, we have a new movie series that we're going to be starting, and those episodes are going to be starting on literally Thursday, and it's going to be over the films of Jane Campion.
Yes.
Very excited to talk about that with you coming up starting, like I said, on Thursday. iTunes, Spotify, 5-star reviews are greatly appreciated while you're on the website. Sign up for the newsletter. It's the best place to get all of our news, reviews, interviews, podcasts sent to you all in one place. Recommendation of the week. Saw a film. I'd seen this film many times. My wife had not seen this film before, and it was probably a 5-star film for all of us, I would assume. And that is Joel and Ethan Coen's Fargo.
I mean, yeah.
And
Love Fargo.
just a great film. If you've never seen it, didn't watch the last couple seasons of the television show, kind of made me wanted to go back and do that. But one of the best Coen Brothers films, period. Also, great Frances McDormand performance, right? Because everybody here at Awards Watch loves Frances McDormand. And yeah, so go watch.
You know what's insane? I think
Fargo.
that movie's a masterpiece, and I think it's my 7th favorite Coen Brothers movie.
Probably. It's like five, like 5 or 6 for me.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun series to do, wouldn't it, Jay?
I mean, it's just banger after banger.
Yeah,
is the thing about them. It's almost boring how consistent they are.
How great they are. Yeah.
I mean, they had that little period where it's like, ugh.
Yeah. That's kind of what Ethan Cohen's going through right now. There's a little bit of ooh. So, but go and watch.
If we covered those.
Yeah, that would be rough. Go watch Fargo if you get the chance. It's a great film. And that's it for our Christopher Nolan movie series. Thank you all so much for listening to me and Jay over these last couple of weeks. And you can send all the hate mail to @AwardsWatch Erik on Twitter and all the other places, because we don't want to hear it. We just saying our honest opinions around here. So thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.